The backlight.
What's up, guys?
I don't know what the deal is with that fucking backlight.
What the heck?
Why? How? How does this happen? I don't even know.
No. We're in the heavens right now.
Hold on. I can. This is why you get up early enough so you can.
I promise it does not look like this.
What is the deal with that? That's ridiculous. So now that we have some technical difficulties in the morning, you know, you could get a sheet and put it over that. But we are just waiting to get into our first game, guys, and we'll start casting and talking about the game. The brackets were apparently messed up, but according to Epex, they're just running with it. So I don't know what's going on. Because it looked like they were not even seated. It was just like, oh, random brackets. Here we go. Have a nice Sunday.
Yeah.
So we are waiting to see if that gets figured out, and we will be going from there. Just so you guys know, we do have a delay today. So if we do an AMA at some point, we will be a little bit behind than we normally are.
It's 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, it's like a 30-second play, so it's not too bad. I figure 30 seconds is plenty for all them cheaters.
Yeah.
All them cheaters in the world.
The screen lookers.
The screen lookers, those bastards. But if everything goes according to plan, we're going to be streaming Ninja Penguins versus TPA. So I'm trying to get that worked out right now. And we will be getting into the games as soon as we can. But I hope everyone's having a good morning, because I know I definitely woke up 15 minutes before 9, and I was like, oh shit, we gotta catch ESL!
Well, I was 10 minutes, so...
Yeah, I had to wake you up.
Yeah.
Typical guidance.
Wait, no, you woke me up last week.
Oh man, Cliff's not able to wake up in time. That's just always the problem with these here ESLs. So, but we're just gonna, I don't know, if you guys have any questions or if you're just hanging out, Dan is also casting right now. I think he's already in game. So you guys can head over there if you want and just check out his games, and then as soon as we get a word back from Nightwayne or anyone telling us what's going on, that would be helpful, and we'll be going from there. So
just waiting on sources, friend requests, and exception.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough.
Source don't like you.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, again, like usual, if you guys have questions, we're kind of just waiting at this point.
Yeah, we can hang out.
Did we pause the music? No, we didn't. Alright.
Your shitty music.
But, anyways, guys, if you have questions while we're waiting here, feel free to ask.
Yeah, we'll just kind of be hanging out for a bit. ESL on PC is way more fun than PS4. Yeah, I've actually been working on some of the PS4 issues. Been hearing a lot about that on the forums, and I've been trying to get those resolved. And I'm hoping that we can make PS4 a lot better place to play Evolve, because I really don't like seeing a lot of the complaints that we get and a lot of the issues people are having.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I can help get those pushed along, but I can only do so much. So hopefully it becomes a better place soon. Soon. But yeah, here on PC we're gonna have a good day, a good morning, if you will. And I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. But
Rico, where is my mobile quality?
Where is my mobile quality? Well, you see, when we have 10 viewers, Cyril, there's no reason to give us mobile quality.
This is a very personal cast right now.
It's very personal. I mean, we got the bright-ass light in the background, which I don't even know how that happens.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
It wasn't there last time we casted, but it's here today. So it's hanging out with us. But yeah, as soon as we get the show on the road, we'll start the stream going. We're just waiting to get into our first match. Oh my gosh, Mazel's actually playing Wraith, even with the bug. Oh boy.
Whoa.
Oh. Come on, Ninja Penguins, let me know what's going on.
In the meantime, you guys can watch this glorious intro of Evolve. Oh wait, we're not even showing it.
Yeah, we're showing us.
We're just showing us.
Yeah, we get to hang out. Hey, man. To really understand the PS4, I think you need to buy a PS4. No, man. I mean, I assume a lot of the PS4 problems are also Xbox problems, and I played on Xbox ESLs before, and they were not enjoyable at all. And I've been talking with a lot of the guys from the PS4 scene, getting a lot of feedback from them, and getting a couple messages from a few about specific things going on, and yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we can help fix those problems that I've been informed of, and hopefully we can help push things along. That's the one thing that we can do.
Yeah.
So, you know,
too much light unfollowed.
It's all right. We bring the light because this is the guidance, and you do actually have an aurora around you.
Yeah.
Let's play. There you go. Yeah. That's what it looks like. So I'm just talking to Nightwayne right now, and I think they're gonna get the lobby up soon.
Let's see if Source invited. Well, I have Nightwing, I believe.
Yeah.
Do I have Nightwing? This little. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. They always changing their names, always losing track of them in the friends list. We should probably make like team sections in all of our
It's
stuff.
true.
Eventually,
Eventually.
we'll get there.
That's the future.
That's the future.
Still living in the past right now.
Let's see here. So yeah, I'm just talking with Nightwing again, and I am kind of watching the other stream right now on Black Aegis' channel, and Mazel looked like he got through a whole dome, stage 1 as Wraith, and taking no damage at all.
Oh boy.
Even with those bug traversals.
I wonder what build he's taken.
Oh,
3 in decoy.
I think he went 3 abduction and 3 in decoy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, at stage 1, clearly the best build.
Abduction, and then you
Mhm.
just drop your decoy and it does all the work for you.
Yeah, no, I think he went 2
disconnect.
That sucks. I think he went 2 warp blasts, 1 abduction. That's actually a super solid build now at stage 1 for the
Mhm.
Wraith, and like you could easily get kills with her
Yeah.
that way, especially with her new melee.
Mazel the evolve after disconnect. I guess you can't really.
The evolve after disconnect, man. Hopefully evolve gets fixed on consoles, then I might actually get evolve when I buy a PS4. I mean, as far as I know, it's okay on consoles. It's just like the ESL community is kind of rough right now.
Yeah.
Because there's some other issues. What happened to your face, Rigo? Stop shaving. You're hurting your baby skin. is
No, actually, it said Baba skin. Or Bobby skin.
Bobby skin? My Bobby skin? Oh no, my Bobby skin. But yeah, we're just kind of waiting. I really hate waiting for or putting you guys on hold right now, but we're trying to
Ask questions.
ask questions, get us to talk,
Yep.
and we'll talk about stuff because I don't think you guys want to hear us talk about.
Yeah, we can only think of so much to talk about before this actually ends up going on.
Before you guys end up losing your mind in
Yeah.
meeting,
We
or you've already done that.
We figured we'd actually like talk to you guys instead of just having music in the intro going. So I don't know if this is better or that's better. At this
Yeah,
point.
you know, the music's definitely easier,
Yeah.
but the intro, you know, I think we can handle it.
Yeah.
Oh man, the traversal showing some pain right there.
Yeah.
But let's see here. Nightwing, I believe, just messaged me. No, he didn't. God damn it. Let us know the pick and bans when you're.
Cyril asked important questions. Go, 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 go.
Yeah. So that picture that I showed him yesterday, he's actually shown that to everyone in the world now.
Oh, everyone?
Brandon is probably not happy.
Cyril probably thinks he's pretty special right now.
Yeah, Cyril, you must think you're special.
He got a drawing just for him.
Where do we see ourselves in 5 years? I don't know.
Wow, he is.
This is a personal question.
Asking the important questions, cool dogs.
Is that a good question? I mean, I guess that's not about Evolve, but maybe it is.
Living on your own island.
Living on my own island.
Reigning over a small population.
Yes, and you know, a small population of myself and whoever else is there. Hopefully, one other person.
Having scientists clone some dinosaurs for you.
Cloning dinosaurs, that's good.
It's a high possibility.
And then inviting people in to see these dinosaurs.
I bet you this would work out really well.
You know,
Sure,
it might make actually a good movie.
Yeah.
You know, we should write this down. You know, maybe we invite people in.
Maybe.
And there's like a theme park, and where they can see the dinosaurs. You know, it's a flawless plan.
We should probably stop the stream before they steal our idea.
Yeah, I know. All right.
So Goliath buffs coming soon.
I don't know about that.
We're gonna wait on that one.
We're definitely keeping an eye on everyone as far as balance goes, but we are. I think you should have an invite from Nightwing, so let's go ahead and check that out.
Not yet. Oh, incoming.
Yep, there it is.
Oh my gosh. All right. Figures.
Butt cheese.
Nice.
All right, guys, we're gonna get on over. Make sure you unmute the sound for Evolve as well.
I don't even think I muted it.
But yeah, just to speak a bit on the balance side of things, like we are keeping our eyes on all the just all the monsters right now.
Getting right into it right away then.
Yeah, it looks like we're going into it. I just got the map list right now, so we can start talking about that. On the first game, we're going to be going on Distillery, which you guys can almost see right now. And then we're going to be going Refueling, and then Orbital will be the tiebreaker. This is going to be TPA versus Ninja Penguins. So this is going to be a quite the show. Because these are two...
Oh no!
Yeah,
Cast is not starting soon.
It's starting now.
Alright.
So, we do have
Cracky.
Bugsy taking up the Kraken. And I do believe we are having... we are going to have... Let's see... Kyra, Abe, Hank, Markov. So pretty standard comp when we look at it.
Now, TPA, is that a team that is...
You're not an observer.
I'm not an observer.
No.
I didn't get to click it. It's not my fault.
I'll message him.
I'm sorry. I am now a part of Ninja Penguins. This is actually what we're revealing today.
Well, I don't even know. It says waiting for guidance, but
Uh-oh.
I don't know. It might be a bug because we didn't get the
character select.
Yeah, the character select screen. So it might be a bug. So
Us QA guys.
yeah, that's QA guys. We know a bug when we see one. But yeah, we've got a cool game coming up. Yeah, looks like we're all fine. You want to talk about the perks right away before we introduce these players?
All right, so I don't know how to use this thing, but
It's
there we go.
So, yeah, we've actually got all the perks coming out. We actually have CDR on Bugsy from TPA. We've got Quick Switch on Markov coming in from Rune. We've got Reload from Dragonfly, who is Savvy.
Capacity Hank.
And Capacity Hank on Spanners. You know, that's just classic Spanners.
Yep.
And then
Weapon Switch on the Trapper.
Weapon Switch on Nightwing.
I feel like we're seeing that more and more as we go. Didn't we see it the other day too?
Oh, I know. They really like their Quick Switch.
Yeah,
You know,
I think it's the rotation between utility and damage that they like so much because especially with Markov, you know, you get those mines that you can kind of rotate between while you're dealing damage, and there's a lot of you kind of like cut the downtime in half basically. Yeah. So
it's actually, I mean, it's a pretty cool idea, and I'm curious to see how it works out for him. You know, you definitely can get rid of those Banshee mines super quick. So I'm curious to see. Oh, actually, we have a sneak attack coming out. Rune taking a little bit of damage. It said sneak attack, but I'm pretty sure he just got pounced by like a Reaver or something, because Bugsy still in the full-on sneak mode.
Oh man, they're definitely
they're super spread out, and I'm surprised that Rune, like, I think he did finally hear them, because you see them finally moving into the monster's location right here.
It's probably the Steamodon that kind of gave him away, and the Reaver's screaming. Steamodon more than anything, because that smoke is definitely hard to miss.
And plus, hearing the Banshee mines going off and stuff like that, you can definitely
he is using Banshees to kill wildlife. Okay.
So we do see them finally closing in, and Rune engaging with that lightning gun, doing a little bit of chip damage here. Actually, Rune doing a great job defending against those Banshee mines there. I think he shot out 2 or 3 of them, so you know, good little engagement there.
You think they're gonna their dome? Oh, what? All right, you think they're gonna dome this?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay, he was trying to bait the dome.
Yeah, I think his idea there was like, I'm trying to move Rune more towards me, and man, he's really pushing this evolve, and he's gonna end up stage 2 right here.
This is interesting. Rune's probably gonna take out his assault rifle. He's gonna try and go for the headshot damage, but he can't. He is facing the opposite direction. All 4 of them going in to deal damage. Permanent health damage is super valuable for them at this point. The lightning gun is definitely gonna hurt the Banshee mines. He went aftershock.
Oh,
the
man.
mines are down. He doesn't know who to
aftershock.
focus. He's going on the Hank. Hank uses his invis. He doesn't know who to focus. He's just shooting everywhere. He's going on the medic now. Capacity Hank, there's no way he's breaking through that. He sees Hank again. He's going to try and switch the focus back to the Hank, but he lost him again. Lightning strikes going down. Maybe he didn't lose him. I don't know.
He ends up getting some good damage on the Hank there, and he's actually getting low. We just need to see him hit one more aftershock, but even though he's got him in this tight corridor, look at his health cliff. He's actually down to
half.
3 bars, and he's not even broken down.
If he gets the medic down, though, he definitely has a chance here. He's got to prevent that assault. He has a very good chance of actually winning this at this point. He's just got to keep that. Oh, he's got to prevent that assault from resing the Kyra. He gets Hank down,
but
oh, the dome goes down. He's got a tough decision to make here. Does he
Oh
go?
man.
The medic's so close to dying. He should have finished that with one last snowball, probably.
Man, that was rough. You know,
Yeah.
I think Bugsy wanted to get way more from that, and you know, Ninja Penguin's showing that they can get through any situation
Yeah.
that you throw at them, and that seemed to be a strategy there from Bugsy going that 3 Aftershock build. But you know, it was a similar all-in like we had seen, you know, way back in the day,
Yep.
or I should say a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't feel like that paid off at all. Like I don't think that was a smart idea from the guys or from Bugsy and the guys from Ninja Penguins. Even though they had Markov, you know, they were still able to go through his whole health pool.
Yep.
And getting 2 strikes for your whole health, like I would not take that trade ever.
Yep. And
You know,
the thing is too is like we're still seeing monsters not taking full advantage of the fact that they have 20 minutes to work with,
Mm-hmm.
and especially since the food respawns are actually fixed.
Yeah.
You can stretch these games out much further now, and I don't feel like he had to evolve in that cave at all if he didn't want to, but he
Yeah.
just went for it, assuming that he was gonna have a good chance in the cave. Maybe he was trying to bait it inside, like he did bait the fight. Okay, so we are starting up a fight here. Hank already hit about half health. The dome is probably not going to go down. He baited out the invis, so if he can negate damage, he's going to have to. He has no health to work with. The moment he
Yeah.
loses shields, he is done. I would not play aggressively if I was. He might get Hank down. Oh, Hank almost launched into the lightning strike. So at this point, he's got 3 shield bars or armor bars, and he's about to hit a lot of people with that aftershock though. One more vortex. Oh, the one last heal keeps him up. He's got 1 armor bar left. I don't think he's getting out of this one.
Yeah, I think this game was just a little bit too much of an all-in
Yep.
from Bugsy there, and he wasn't playing for the long haul, which
No.
I really think you need to do in this new meta.
Yep.
And you know, I really don't think going all in at stage 2 is the best way
Mm-hmm.
to beat a 100 team. Like he definitely got everyone pretty low, and you know, it was definitely a close game. But I just don't think that was the best course of action for Bugsy there.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know, there's a lot of ways that you can, you know, you say you get domed and then you burn the timer on the dome and you waste as much time as you can. That way, when you make the engagement and you have, you know, your armor loss, like
Yep.
once you lose all of your armor, at that point, if you've wasted some of the time in the early part of the dome, then by the time you lose your armor, then you've already, you know, pretty much made your way out.
Yep.
So, good game from Ninja Penguins there. They were able to pull out a win for their 100 team, so they are now up 1-0. I'm going to ask Source he wants us to cast his side, see what he's doing.
Yeah, but it's definitely kind of like an interesting approach, right? Like, I feel like he could have had so many different ways of taking that match, but maybe he, even though the meta is complete, I feel like it's definitely changed because of the changes that actually occurred in the balance patch. I feel like he was maybe trying to go for like a sneak approach in terms of what his strategy was.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I'm evolving here, but guess what? I just forced 4 people to get inside of a cave. I think he could have potentially won it there.
Yeah.
If he would have played it, like if he would have hit 1 or 2 more abilities. Like he killed the medic at a relatively good time. He got Hank down, and then all he had left was the salt player and the trapper. And if he only had like what two health bars more, like a health bar and a half, whatever. He probably could have potentially won that, and it could have been a little bit different. So maybe that was his actual strategy, is to try and catch them off guard. But it just didn't really pay off.
Yeah, I just don't think it was worth the investment. Let's see.
Yeah.
We're going to end up joining Source's game right now. Hopefully he added you. I don't.
Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like Source did it. We might just end up going into game 2
I
here.
think you can join him as long as he's on here, actually.
No.
Oh,
It's
no.
not letting us. Damn it. Have I missed it? No, we just had the first game between Ninja Penguins and TPA. We're going to try and get both sides casted. You know, there's not a lot of teams today, so I figure they might be okay with it, but we're already going into game 2, so...
So this will be interesting. This is definitely a map that Bugsy, I feel like, needs to stretch it out as much as possible, because this map gives you a lot of room to work with, and you can pull off. You can definitely pull off safe evolves on this map. I always describe it as a 3-corner map. So if at any point you extend it into any of those corners, we can show you the mini map when it pops up. You can bait the hunters into one of those corners as far as possible, and then you can kind of just go for one of those other opposite ends. And by the time you get to the opposite end, the hunters are too far away to actually catch up and dome you on the evolve. So we'll see what Bugsy does in this match, and maybe he pulls off a lot of sneaking, which you can definitely do with all this foliage, and there's also a lot of wildlife and water to work with.
Yeah.
So combat-wise, he's also got a lot of stuff working out for him.
Don't talk to us about deep water, man.
Yeah.
But I am curious to see. I'm gonna expect Ninja Penguins to run the same comp. Yeah. You know, I feel like they've found their comfort picks up against Kraken right here.
Yeah.
You know, Markov definitely showing his value yet again, especially with Banshee Mines being a threat at this point in the game. So I am curious to see if Bugsy actually steers away from the Banshee Mines, because I feel like they weren't one of his big tools of success that last game, or even putting less points in them. He did have 1 point.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you only need that 1 point once you get into stage 3. So I am curious to see what he does change up. And over on the perk side, looks like we don't have any difference here. Quick switch again on Markov and on the Abe. Capacity on the Hank, and reload, of course, on Kyra. And Bugsy going for the CDR. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, Cliff. What do you feel about the CDR perk when you see someone taking it?
I feel like, again, kind of talking about the last game we saw with the cave and all that stuff, I think it kind of lets you put out a ton of pressure at once if you're able to get your abilities and hit them as much as possible. The reaction time that it gives the hunters is actually like much less, because your upkeep for all your abilities is obviously higher because the cooldown reduction, but at the same time, if he's taking a spread out build, it's going to be super tough to avoid all those hunters. And I think that's kind of what he's counting on. It's not so much about the upfront damage, but to get all the damage all together, just constantly going out into the point where you just can't react anymore and the pressure's too much. So I personally don't take cooldown reduction. I haven't seen too many other monsters take cooldown reduction, but maybe it just really works for his style. So,
man, we do see the stage 2 coming out right away. Again, Bugsy just going for the same old, you know, not trying anything different. We do see the orbital missing there. Oh my gosh!
Nice. That is huge for him. He really needs to work with this. If he's got to capitalize on this mistake by Ninja Penguins.
This is actually huge.
He's got a lot of room to work with now. He should be able to get full shields. If I was him, I would even look for, if I get away and get enough armor, I would look to engage, honestly. He is darted, though, so I'd probably try and run that dart out and try a sneak play and wait until they split up to start searching for me. And once you get that split, really capitalize on it. But it looks like Ninja Penguins is really adapting to the new meta, and they're staying super grouped.
Yeah,
more often than not.
they are not splitting at all, and really they don't have a reason to right now. You know, they know what direction he's going. They know he's darted, so they know he's 100 meters away, and they feel safe. So they don't have to worry too much.
So it looks like we are splitting into the 2-2 a little bit here. I'm assuming it's because the hunters the trapper's going for the cutoff at this point. Assault's just gonna be following directly like usual. Where Bugsy's going right now is actually a pretty good spot for him to fight. He might try and force an engagement here, but the trappers or Ninja Penguins is probably more than aware of what he's trying to do here, and they're not gonna fall for it.
Yeah, and I think at this point Bugsy just wants to try and get a good engagement off.
Oh, it looks like he is trying to look for the engagement here. He's trying to get that surprise. Oh!
The birds.
The trapper. Oh my gosh, the birds. The trapper is kind of split from Hank right now.
Oh,
alongside,
man.
Oh, the capacity Hank already went off, though.
We do see Kyra getting engaged on right here. The shield does keep her nice and full health, but we do see the dome finally landing and Bugsy getting trapped inside the dome from Nightwing. We do see an aftershock hitting 2 people, both the support and the trapper.
Super strong.
Oh man, one more lightning to do it, and he misses. Oh man, and there's the healing burst going out from Savvy, getting the trapper or support back up to full.
Super hard focus on the trap or on Hank right now. He's got the damage spread out really well. This is that cooldown reduction really showing its strength. He's almost got Hank down again, half health. Kyra class cooldown or heal burst goes off. Hank is almost dead. If he hits 2 more abilities, he's probably going to go down. It's going to be huge. Armor is broken.
Oh man,
Orbital
one more
goes down,
auto
one more
attack,
auto
and he
attack
does
and
get
it's
the
down.
down. Rough. That's a rough spot for them. The
Yep.
orbital does end up coming down. He actually whiffing this.
Oh,
Whoa!
that
Savvy
was-
jetpacked into that.
Yep.
But the aftershock does end up landing onto Savvy.
man.
And the lightning, oh
and then
man.
the capacity Hank is up. He needs to disengage. The dome is down. I don't think he's. Maybe
Oh,
maybe
man.
I was completely wrong. Cooldown reduction showing its strength yet again against the capacity Hank, able to break through with the upkeep of the abilities. At this point, he definitely needs to take what he can get and just Oh wait, that was the healer though. He has 3 health bars to work with. If he gets the healer down, he can definitely disengage and then re-engage if he wants to. Ninja Penguins might be looking to split off at this point if he does get Kyra down. He's got 2 health bars to work with. The medic does go down. He's switching to Hank. Hank does not have his invis up. 1 more auto attack should finish him off. 2 more. And...
And the
the
orbital.
He needs to disengage and get armor up. He's definitely sticking around way too long.
Yeah.
He probably realized at that point he made a really big mistake. He could have disengaged, gotten armor, and re-engaged. There's no way that they're going to really pull it off at that point if he had full armor. Even if the dropship came again, it gives him another chance to win. You don't have to absolutely win this game in one
in one fight, and that's one thing I think Bugsy hasn't got to play a whole lot against this Markov, and not used to how defensive it can be. You know, I feel like he's used to just throwing out those Banshee mines along with all the other abilities and helping to supplement his damage that he's able to output. But I think we're gonna try and get into Source's game right now. He should have added me. Let's see here. No, looks like Source hates us.
Looks like he hates us.
That's okay.
Oh no, he did add us. Oh, he's not gonna be in that tag, so we just go right here.
There you go.
There we go.
We're gonna join up on Source. Yeah, I mean, at that point, I really don't understand why Bugsy decided he needs to go all in at every point there.
Definitely.
You know, I don't know. I'm not sure if I agree with that style of play, and I do think, you know, he showed the value in having the CDR, especially with the lower cooldown on Aftershock.
Yep.
And you know, I think at that point it really didn't end up paying off for him. So
I think he's doing a really good job too of kind of his mechanical skills definitely seem there. He was hitting a lot of his abilities. He missed like 1 or 2. There was one point where he could have hit the Aftershock on the Incap and Kyra, I feel. But for the most part, his mechanical skills look pretty strong. It's just those decision-making skills that we've seen that I don't think they've necessarily... I don't think he's gotten used to the meta change. He still feels like he has to go all in. Both games, he definitely... Once he got, you know, the Dome on the Evolve, he for the most part went all in. And he actually was fortunate enough to dodge the Dome on the Evolve this time around. And that left him a lot of space to work with and a huge option to just take the match and just draw it out more than, you know, without taking any permanent health damage on the Evolve. That's super valuable.
yeah, I mean the big thing is that a lot of monster players are so used to a lot of what they've found success in the past, right?
Yep.
You know, going, you know, as soon as you get someone down, outright killing them, you know, is usually what you did. You know, you did in the old meta, and you just tried to win at that point because you had an opportunity to pull out a game.
Yeah.
But now, you know, especially when you and I play, and when we've been playing against some of these teams, we find that, you know, gaining any small advantage you can get and pushing the games longer. You know, usually our games will go past 20 minutes.
Yep.
You know, you had a game the other night against Ninja Penguins that was actually 25 minutes long. And at the end of that game, everyone had 2 strikes.
Yep.
So it was one of those games where you kept going in, getting something, and just getting right out immediately.
Yeah, and I actually see this frequently in matchmaking. I go against the same group of people. It's a blast. They run Lazarus, Sunny, and then any variant of Assault at that point, it seems like, and then Jack, and it's a good game every single time. We go to stage 3. And speaking of Jack, we see Slim, Hank, Jack, and Markov versus Source's Kraken.
I am curious to see how Jack versus Kraken will go, but I had heard, I was talking with Source while we were getting into this game.
Yep.
And Source had actually gone Behemoth the last game.
Oh, did he?
So, He was busting out some interesting moves.
Do we know if he won or lost?
He lost.
Ah.
So he said he was kited pretty hard, but you know, Behemoth on Distillery is usually a pretty good
Oof.
choice.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see how this goes. You know, if Source does end up winning this game, then it will be Ninja Penguins that wins the series 3-1.
Yep.
But if Source ends up losing, then we've got ourselves a tiebreaker. So I think we can talk about the picks as we go down the players. We do see that Source has taken the good old-fashioned damage increase on Kraken. We do see Roy taking movement speed on Markov, reload on Slim, who's Nimp,
Mm-hmm.
and we do see reload on Fav, who is the Hank Playar.
Mm-hmm.
Playar. And Towin is taking move speed as well on the Trapper. So
Yeah.
this is kind of I'd say an old school
Yeah,
style.
it's something I was going to say.
perks.
Something I definitely want to point out is the fact that we're seeing Markov different perk, we're seeing the Trapper different perk,
Yeah.
and we're seeing Hank different perk.
Yeah.
I think that is really cool to see that we're seeing different styles through perks
Mm-hmm.
based on the team and people's preferences. And I am on that note, I'm curious if Source is going to switch up his build because I know he really likes the aftershock going in like super hard, and I feel like he needs to switch up his style in order to handle this Jack.
Yeah.
Because Jack is going to deny those aftershocks, and he's going to do a really good job protecting that Hank or even that Slim, keeping him far away from the focus targets.
Yeah, Jack is definitely an interesting Trapper to fight against, especially a lot of what I've had to do internally. He definitely changes the way you got to fight into him, but it looks like the Source pulling out some moves here.
Yep.
And getting a nice sneak off. I wonder if they're going to see him. You know, we are seeing the Slim looking around, not seeing Source, and he's already beeline into the other side of the map, and that's that's kind of what we had been talking about the last game, is that as a monster player, you got to change up what you've been doing.
Yeah.
You know, this is a whole new game, right? And Source is about, let's see, 220 meters away from the TPA Hunters. And if he wants to get the Evolve right now, which I assume he will be soon, you know, he's going to be pretty much stage 2 for free.
Yeah, he's going to be in a really good spot. I feel like if he does have any form of engagement, another thing I was going to bring up with Jack is I feel like a lot of monsters haven't gotten used to the satellite damage, which is, I hope we see that Source does opt in to take the extra 2 seconds to look at that beam where it is and dodge it. Because honestly, I feel like it's definitely worth it, and it's really not that difficult to dodge as long as you're not like completely distracted or focusing the Jack. So he does look like he gets the safe evolve off here. I don't think he's got a whole lot of food to work with in that cave, but he is going the opposite direction of the Trapper. He's got 4 Reavers to work with, so Jack looking to get in position to throw this dome. Source needs to be looking out for a really good location to engage. Did we see what build Source went?
He went 3 Lightning, 1 Banshee, and 2 Vortex. And this is actually a pretty strong build, one that I've used quite a bit internally.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of getting the lower cooldown on the Lightning and also getting the bigger radius on it.
Yep.
And just having the consistent damage from Banshee Mines, even though it's against Markov, you know, I feel like Source can make it work. And then the 2 Vortex is just really a big comfort pick for me.
So he's definitely doing that more the air Kraken.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the one thing that I definitely want to point out too in this patch, kind of bring that up as he pulls off another sneak. They missed it.
You know, this is one of the downsides of Jack, which is, you know, he's super good in combat, probably one of the best combat trappers, but I would say he's by far one of the worst tracking trappers.
Yeah. I wouldn't even put it all on Jack, honestly. I feel like there was both times that Source pulled off a sneak. For the most part, it seemed like somebody wasn't watching their spot they should have been watching, and I don't even think he was really trying to sneak that hard there, but he's like, shoot, if they're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think Source is looking just to get the safe stage to 3. But one thing that we definitely have to be aware of is that just because he gets a free stage 3, his damage still doesn't increase a whole lot at stage 3, but he does get the increased health. And we definitely have to be aware of is that just because he gets a free stage 3, his damage still doesn't increase a whole lot at stage 3, but he does get the increased health and shields like usual. So he definitely needs to, if they get a really strong defense set up, this game could still go either way.
You know, I think the team that they have going against, like a Markov team, you know, I'm pretty sure Source would be able to break through everyone, especially not having the capacity Hank. You know, we do have a reload Hank, which is in turn a little bit stronger than before because of some of the adjustments to the way that the cooldown works now on the Hank shield.
Yep.
We do see those lasers coming out. Are they going to end up hitting Source? I assume they will. He ain't gonna move. And
Oh, there he goes.
they swipe him for
So
a good bit of damage, and they finally figured out where he is. Toman busting out those dual pistols, getting some chip damage in on Source. And we do see him switching over to the dome, I assume.
Jack's got to watch it. He's doing a lot of poke damage here. The dome does go down. Doesn't look like Source has any loops to work with, so he's going to really pull off some really solid aggression right off from the start. Jack denying the up-close fight. Jack's repulsor is out of ammo. Hank's shields come in. This is where the Slim starts doing business. He needs to keep far away from that Slim. If he comes down, the heals are going to start coming up faster and faster. But it just looks like he... Oh, the nice,
man.
Really solid orbital. Armor is about gone. Repulsor doing a really good job. Hank might need to look for going for an invis at this point. The Spore Cloud's doing work. He's switching his focus targets. He's losing permanent health damage. Hank's shields are definitely still up, and at this point I feel like the fight is completely reset, and Source needs to really look at what he's going to do at this point. It looks like he's going to go for mitigation. They're going to play super aggressive. He's got to look out for this beam. If he gets hit by the satellite damage, it's going to hurt a lot. It's going to be about half the health bar, I believe.
Ooh, he gets clipped by it. Man, that was rough. But yeah, we see Source engaging super hard on the Trapper there and not gaining much for it. He did end up losing 2 health bars, and he's probably going to lose about another quarter of a bar on the chip damage from the chase. But, you know, all in all, that was a solid engagement from Source, but the reload Hank and Slim just was too hard for him to break through there and end up missing a couple abilities on the run.
Yep.
So, you know, hopefully... Oh, man, the Mammoth Bird. I think it just played the animation, didn't do the damage, because I didn't see a big drop there. So
a lot of poke damage going on at the post dome here. I think he lost about roughly a half a health bar, if not more, from the post dome damage. Didn't really accomplish anything there. He came really close to getting that Jack, but the Hank came in just in time to save him there. And Slim, you know, he does his thing with the Spore Clouds, and he Source is playing relatively close, so he got the heals off, and the fight kind of reset at that point. So he's probably going to be looking to try and get an evolve off at this point. He's got to get his armor back up. He doesn't have enough energy for the stage up.
Yeah.
He's going to be looking to go to this cave, see if he can maybe pull off another juke. Who knows? If he does get domed in this area, though, he does. He doesn't have any loops to work with, but he has this big rock in the center to kind of mitigate if he needs to. He can hug the wall and prevent damage from line of sight. So he's looking to dodge the laser beam. And
does end up dodging it. But at this point, I think Source is going to try his best to mitigate. Might try and get some chip damage in on Slim and Hank here. But I don't feel like he's going to want to full-on engage. You know, he does have that stage 3. And unless he can catch someone out in the open and they're completely out of position, maybe like this Hank here, who does not get clipped by those 2 Banshee lines.
Right away.
Man, that's rough. But, you know, Source just playing around this rock and this Markov trying to push him out. Roy doing a good job with that lightning gun to keep the pressure on Source, and we do see a lightning strike going onto the Slim there.
He's got to be careful though, because the Hank is going to bait him out with the shield. Spore Cloud is not down, so he can keep focus on. Hank's shields are already gone. He's got to be careful though, because he's right at the ground, taking all of the damage up front. He's gonna, and the dome goes down. So I'm just curious if he opts in to go for the kill, and he does get the kill. Super effective kill there. He only lost about a health bar for a strike, so if he does get out, which I feel like he doesn't necessarily have to. This is the healer. If he gets the healer down, that's going to be huge for him. The heal burst does go down, keeps him up for a little bit longer. He's got half his health to work with. Hank is probably looking to split off and go for another dropship timer. He's going to get the assault down. The shields do pop up. Jack has nothing much he can do here. The repulsor is probably going to go down to try and force a little extra damage from the assault. Jack does go down with that last auto attack. Assault's going to go down. And at this point, he's probably going to look for the evolve to force the Hank to come out of hiding on the relay.
Yeah, I mean, that was a smart play from Source. He was able to catch the Slim out of position, and that was one of the things, you know, we see with Reload Hank is that you can break through that initial shield. You know, if you know someone's going to be doing a hard focus onto a character, you usually want to have that capacity Hank as opposed to the, oh no. Is he... Okay. I was a little worried there. I was like, man, does he have line of sight of Source right now? Because he could just drop an orbital on his head and completely turn the game. We do see him running on by, not seeing him. But we do see Source going 3 into Aftershock, and this is another build. I'm a big fan of it.
If I'm thinking what's going to happen, it is about to happen. This Hank is about to do some serious cheese.
Some serious cheese.
The cheese is probably it's top tier cheese.
Well, top tier cheese can only happen from 100 meters with
there
Hank.
We go.
So we, Hank's gonna have to come in close to this relay as he's moving in. Source already getting it down to about half health. He is regenerating armor as he's doing this as well, so hopefully he can get that up in case the Hank does finally pull him off.
Mm-hmm.
But that relay is getting lower and lower. And we do see the Hank trying to get those shots in. We do see him peeling Source off the relay.
He's going to force the cloak at this point. Even if he does have to fight an entire dome again, he does have half his health to work with. So he's looking to be in a very good spot. He's got 3 strikes. Hank is probably going to have his cloak run out really soon here. He's probably going to be able to get the kill before they land. But if they do land, he's going to get domed with almost no armor. So Source is going to have to be really careful here. Hopefully Source is able to get this in cap at least.
Oh man, nice dodge.
Source
right
needs to be looking to disengage at this point. If he gets domed here, he is going to get the in cap. He's definitely going to get the in cap, but he is going to get domed. I feel like it's going to come down any moment. They're landing right on top of him. He has no armor to work with. If they do get the dome here, Source is going to be in a little bit of a rough spot here. The dome might go down.
But he did finish off the Hank, so they have no Hank shields. And that big Aftershock does hit on the Trapper and the Medic there. And we do see him going for the Lightning Strike. Will it hit the Slim? And it does. Oh, it does connect, and that's huge. He should be able to finish off the Slim here, no problem. And the Slim falling, and the Markov trying to get that lightning gun damage in. But there's only so much he can do. Roy hopefully has that personal shield to pop. He does end up popping it. When you see Telwyn getting some Lightning Strike right on his head, and the Lightning Strike does come in. The one final heal burst from Slim to help keep him up, but we do see Roy is the final member of TPA up, and I do think this is going to be the game. And I'm pretty sure Roy won't be able to handle this, and the Lightning does come out to seal the deal. Great job there from Source, pulling out a win. You know, I have to say I was pretty impressed with what he was able to pull out there.
He did manage to pull off that Slim Strike without Aftershock build, which we see Source traditionally go almost all the time. So it was really cool to see that he kind of switched it up there and managed to pull off the win because of it. He was able to go to Aftershock for the Stage 3 fight, which is something you should definitely do, but going into that Stage 2 phase of the game, he definitely managed to take full advantage of Slim's weakness, which is staying far away and picking off or doing a lot of poke damage with Lightning, Banshees, Vortex, and also kind of negating the Jack repulsor. So that build was definitely proving to be very effective against this composition. And the Banshee mines, regardless if Markov seemed to be doing a decent amount of damage, you can only react so well against those Banshees before they start hitting. So going into this, I believe that was the series, right?
Yeah, that was the series. So Ninja Penguins did end up winning the whole series 3-1. So they will be going up against the Dildozers in the next bracket. Whoa! And it looks like we got the other side of the bracket updated, and we do see that Epex Apocalypse did fall to KPV.
Oh.
I am curious to watch those games later today and see how that went.
Yep.
But pretty good showing so far today. KPV, I'd say a little bit of an upset up against Epex. I would definitely say that Epex is a more experienced team. You know, they've been around for longer. But KPV showing that they came to play this Sunday.
Yep.
Especially with the new patch. I am curious to see what some of the newer teams are starting to pull off. But, you know, just got to say it again. Congrats to Source. That was an awesome game to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it was super cool seeing him deviate from his normal style. And him start to rethink some of what he's doing. And it's showing on the other teams, right?
Yeah.
Like TPA, you can tell when they practice against one style.
Yep.
They don't practice against this kind of run and make you think style.
Yep.
You know, it was almost as if they were on autopilot, and Source being able to pull out a win there was really the deciding factor for the whole series. You know, that's usually what it's been in the past, but even more so now, having your monster player think more and more and more and more about
just
how he's gonna go about the game.
Yeah,
is
like
something
this
super
is something
cool to
I've been talking about with a lot of different people and even on stream, where I feel like since the game is more of utility based around all of your abilities, you can really kind of put your points in based on your composition that you're going against and even your map sometimes. Especially like Behemoth, you take one in Rockwall on certain maps that you wouldn't otherwise do. So we saw that his style, I feel like, was a hard counter, which is to what this composition was, which again was Slim, Hank, Jack, and Markov. And staying super high up in the air really hurts Jack's ability to really take full effectiveness of the repulsor.
Yeah.
But also Slim's not able to get very effective heals off.
Yeah.
The Spore Clouds are literally doing almost nothing unless he's hitting them midair. And Slim doesn't have the time to try and shoot a midair Slim Cloud. It's never worth it. So for the most part, I feel like Source did a really good job switching it up and taking full advantage of the comp that he was going against.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big fan of Source's style of that game. You know, looking that they had the Slim, you know, Slim does have the smart choke, but it's only so far, right? He can only hit so many shots, and if you stay far enough away from Slim, he's not going to be getting as many heals as he would on the ground, and also the Jack on the ground is going to be way more successful than in the air. And that's why we see a lot of teams still sticking with Abe and not moving over to Jack. You know, Jack does have this ability to, you know, get above a Kraken and push him down, but he has no way of actually doing that right now. You know, and that's one of the things you have to remember with Jack is there's no way to really bring down a Kraken. You know, at that point you're relying on him to run out of traversals, and I don't think that's something you want to rely on if you're a hunter right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Going against arguably one of the best Kraken players in the scene. You know, I think I want to keep with what I'm comfortable with and not bust out the new character. That's personally just me, because we only saw that laser hit once. And you know,
something to note too is I just thought about looking at Savvy is I feel like the reason why Ninja Penguins to Kyra again is because they were kind of expecting Kraken players to start adapting to the Slim by doing that air Kraken, and we didn't see it from Bugsy, I believe it was. So Bugsy did the traditional up in your face build and style still. But Kyra was able to do pretty well against that, but even that build was coming close to counter the Kyra build. But for the most part,
it was a close game.
It was a close game between Bugsy and Ninja Penguins because Kyra is not a hard counter to the ground Kraken. But if that Bugsy decided to go with the air Kraken, Kyra would have shined a lot better than the Slim. So again, like on the hunter side, he's kind of predicting what the monsters are gonna do, and kind of countering each other back and forth a little bit there. And I feel like that's definitely why we didn't see Slim in the Ninja Penguins games like we usually would.
Yeah, and you know, I think it goes to show like you're gonna go with the more consistent picks. As far as I know, with the way that that Ninja Penguin likes to pick is they always go with what they feel is the safest medic. You know, back before the Slim bug fix and the nerf on his on the uptime of his cloud, you know, that did affect him in some way. So I do think that they feel a little bit safer now with the Kyra compared to the Slim. You know, you don't have to worry about, oh, I need to be shooting something to heal. And especially now where you're going to take a lot more chip damage and you have the potential to actually, you know, go down at any point. Having this burst heal, not so much a sustained heal, which Kyra can give a lot of burst. You know, 2 healing grenades and a healing burst all at once is way more than what Slim is able to do in that time frame.
Definitely.
So having that is something that Ninja Penguin sees value in. Also having the move speed as well from her acceleration field is a big one. And you know, just overall the comfort of Kyra is, I just feel she's always been a comfort pick for a lot of teams.
Definitely, just a solid all-around healer and able to keep the team up in very, very tough situations and high pressure situations. And like you said, the acceleration field is always a very, very valuable ability. So
and I think the other thing too is I feel like the game is turned away from this arms race that you and I like to call it. And what we mean by that is it pretty much used to be, well, we have 2 teams and they're going to try and out-damage each other. Whoever out-damages the other wins. Right? And if you can out-sustain the other, then you win. And that was pretty much a hunter thing only. But being able to bring down a Kraken, bring down a Goliath, whoever, before they could even hurt you at all, was how we saw a lot of teams playing. That's why Slim was so favored back then, is because he could do this much damage so quickly and that was a big thing for him.
Yeah.
And now where it's more about these skirmishes over a time.
Yeah.
You know, the game, much like how we saw Source play, I feel like that's how the game is going to start playing out as people get more practice and start learning more about this patch. And I feel like having Kyra for those engagements over time is a much better choice than having a Slim who, you know, if you play it right, you can go back and forth and trying to chip down the hunters.
Yeah. Just like they can chip you down, you can chip them down over a period of time, right? You can kind of get those occasional strikes for your percentage of health. Or if you're looking real good, you'll take no health damage and get a strike. So that's really just how those monsters are taking advantage of Hunter's positioning and just overall like movements. And we saw something we didn't really talk about too much is that Sources managed to pull off some really good map movements this time around. Got a sneak, got a free stage 2. It's not so much, which is really cool because before I feel like Source didn't ever think it was worth doing that stuff because at the end of the day the hunters were going to come on and evolve eventually or whatever it may be. But he took full advantage of the map size. He took advantage of the fact that it's really good to sneak on this map too. And he wasn't going for the step 1, step 2 process of getting the food.
Get stage 1, then fight.
Yeah, get stage 2.
or get stage 2.
Get domed on the evolve and go all in. He was taking a much more, what would the word be? It's not the step-by-step, but more adaptive approach, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of doing things on the fly.
Methodical.
Methodical.
More
is,
methodical.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, he definitely had a game plan. You know, that was a big thing that I saw from him compared to Bugsy, who did have a game plan.
Yeah.
Where it was, you know, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to use the CDR Aftershock and have a 3-point split from there.
Yep.
And I'm going to try and get him down, and I'm going to try and win. Where Source was like, you know what? I'm going to just try and get a safe stage 2. I'm going to use this map, especially with the new Kraken traversal, being able to glide further. Also means that you're going to run, or not run, but just be overall faster.
Yep.
You know, as I've said before on stream, and I said it yesterday during the cast with Black Aegis, is that when you're in the air, you're actually moving faster than you are on the ground. And I think a lot of players forget that.
Yep.
And over time, you actually end up being faster. I would assume in a 1,000-meter race that Kraken would end up winning. Because in our internal tests with this new Kraken traversal with Goliath, you know, I'm about 5 seconds behind on the obstacle course that you and I have deemed for traversal
our
testing.
Racetrack.
Yeah, that our racetrack is.
Yep.
And you know, I end up being a little slower in the burst, but I feel like in the long run, I will actually be able to overtake you and get a further distance if I'm able to stay in the air longer. Since now with that new out of combat traversal, which I'm a big fan of because you know it was
all Kraken should be.
I mean.
And something that also though we kind of like touched on a little bit at the beginning of the match is that something super cool to see is that even though we saw Kraken in both matches or both teams were picking Kraken, we saw drastically different picks, drastically different perks, and drastically different styles from the Krakens. So like the fact that we're seeing that makes me super excited. Like we saw traditionally we would see, oh, it's Kraken, so we're gonna get this very obvious pick, and then we're gonna see, oh, he's gonna take damage perk, but no, we got cooldown on Bugsy, and then we got, you know, Source doing his damage, but that's his style, right? Like he likes damage. Maybe Bugsy likes having shooting abilities out constantly, having that really good sustained damage, and then you know Source is more about the bursts, and plus if you're flying around, you want that damage to be hitting hard as possible when you're doing the poking. Yeah, and it's not so much about consistent damage; it's more about hitting that burst from far away. Yeah. So it makes sense that Source took damage because of the style he was going there. Yeah. And then we didn't even see weapon switch on the Markov, and we saw weapon switch on Ninja Penguin's side, but not for the other team that I can't remember the name of because I, pay attention. But they took movement speed on Markov, and then we didn't see capacity on Hank for that match, and we saw capacity before on Ninja Penguins. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of different things going on right now where people are kind of switching it up, playing with Jack, playing with Slim still, and just overall being a lot more flexible with what they do, and I think that's really cool. It gives not only the players some variety, but the viewers some variety.
Yeah, no, there's definitely now the ability to get a style. Yeah. When you go into games, and that's the big thing, I'm a big fan of seeing monster players take a different approach and
Yeah.
start rethinking what they're doing, and that's why I was super happy to see the way Source had played that second game. You know, Refueling Tower. If you looked in the old patch, you know, there you could pretty much bet $1,000 every game, and Source would do the same thing no
Yep.
matter what. And seeing him bust out a completely new strategy
Yep.
was a really awesome thing to see. And I'm curious to see what more people are going to start bringing out as we go along in this patch and as competition keeps going.
And yet another thing we forgot is he did pick Behemoth in the first game.
I wish we could have seen that game.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I feel like Behemoth is definitely, he has the potential to be catching teams off guard.
Oh, yeah.
And like, we're not used to fighting Behemoth, but Behemoth can sure as hell put up a fight now. So like, you have to be prepared going into that. And unfortunately, he didn't manage to pull off the win. But the fact that he even had any chance of winning with Behemoth it's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance?
Yes, that's what they would say. So I think that's really cool to see. And I think we did see Bucket the other day too, played in a tournament against a Behemoth, surprisingly, with the Crow. So we're seeing all kinds of picks being done now. So I think that's super cool to see. So hopefully in the future, even with like going down to the grand finals of whatever tournament comes in the future, or even when the pressure is the most intense, that people, even though it might not be the safest pick, they're going more for a variety pick that is predictable, or just in general the monster or the hunter team is not going to be used to. So hopefully we see some variety, in other words. And I love seeing it. I hope you guys love seeing that stuff. And hopefully it just continues in the future.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm just loving seeing all the different things that we're gonna start seeing in this new patch, especially with the majors going in full swing.
Yeah.
And we do have a LAN event in Poland that is going to be played on this patch, and I really think that this patch is going to be a great spectator patch. You know, it's going to be a lot more fun to watch than before. You know, I didn't think it was too fun to watch a Stage 2 Dome over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So
really short matches, everything like that. So
yeah, you know, just to kind of talk to some of the people in the stream, you know, we are keeping our eyes on what's going on as far as the new meta and how people are developing in this new patch, and kind of some of the problem areas, right?
Yeah.
You know, at work and in one of our many Google Docs that we have.
One of many, many.
We have way too many Google Docs between the two of us, but you know, we have if you will, like a watch list, like of things that we were seeing and hearing from people, and things that we're keeping our eyes on, right? And we need to confirm some of our suspicions on ESL Sunday. We're seeing what the players are doing, right? That's the big thing, right? We want to give, you know, a direction, but we don't want to define what the meta is, right? At the end of the day, it's always the players that decide and define what they're going to be doing. Right? We can't tell them how to play. We can push them in a direction, but just because you take a horse to water doesn't mean they'll drink it.
Exactly.
But you know, I'm really curious to see what people end up doing, and if you guys, since we are on a little bit of a pause, we are waiting for the Dildozers and Gobi Samurai matches to update. Apparently, there was a misreported game, so
that's not good.
Yeah, they're having to do a protest, and it's a little bit of a mess here.
So knowing that, we're gonna have a decent delay here, guys.
Yeah.
So if you guys have questions, whatever it may be, Evolve related, feel free to shoot those questions through the Twitch chat, and we can start answering some stuff. So.
And we also do have Black Aegis is casting today, so if you guys just hit that Evolve tab, I assume most of you that are here already know about Dan. It is a match between TRS, Team Reload Squad.
The Reload Squad.
Oh, the Reload Squad, excuse me. And and it looks like a couple Eyes on You players going up against I believe that is MyKPV. Yeah, that's Conjugates right now on the Kraken. So if you guys want, go on over there. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing after. Yeah, I know Gobi had one, so we're just waiting for them to update, because DD had reported that they won by accident, so they're trying to get that resolved. But
something cool. Or actually, we saw every monster besides Goliath today. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, we've seen Wraith, we've seen Behemoth, and we haven't seen Goliath.
which is super interesting. The rumor is that he's undertuned, but I think people are too. In my opinion, I feel like on that note, people are a little bit too used to the 3 leap, 3 flame, or just going lots of 3-pointers like we did with the Kraken. And I think Goliath has always taken some form of finesse to get used to. And me being a Goliath player, I'd like to see more players kind of take the 4 split route at stage 2 and just really take full effectiveness of the shotgun charges and all that stuff. But I feel like right now people are just monster-wise. I was about to say that Monsteroids are picking what they feel safest with, but then we see Behemoth, so that's not right.
Yeah,
so what's going on with the Goliath, guys? Let's have some discussion about Goliath. What's going on there?
Well, I think the one big Goliath player that's not here is Legendary.
That is true. Very true.
You know, I would say that there's a lot of people that just played Goliath and not really were Goliaths. Like when I think Legendary, I think Goliath.
Yeah.
When I think Source, I think Kraken, and when I think anyone else, I think.
No, that's a very good point, and that's true because we've always dominantly seen Kraken played, not a whole lot of Goliath played in the past, and usually when we saw Goliath played by people unexpectedly playing Goliath was a very dumbed down build of 3 leap, 3 fire or something along those lines. No offense to Girth, I believe that's the guy who kind of originated that build. It worked really well. But in this current meta, I don't think 3 flame, 3 fire, or 3 leap will ever get you through a team.
Yeah,
there's a
as
chance,
it used to.
As it used to. I think it will. There's potential there, but it's not as nearly as effective as several other builds.
Yeah.
So I think the key factor here is that the well-known Goliath players aren't here, and they'll probably still stick to Goliath because that's what they've practiced with, and they could probably show us some really good Goliath playing, but unfortunately they're not here today. So we're still definitely seeing the traditional Kraken being played by the people that we'd expect them from. But then we see Behemoth randomly being played by the people that we didn't expect them from, and then we saw Wraith from Mazel, I believe. So I'm not sure if he pulled off those wins or not, but it is cool to see that we did almost have every single monster in this tournament so far, which is something that we never see.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been fun to watch and see what monsters people are picking. I want to see more Behemoth because I'm really curious to see how he's going to stack up against some of the other top teams. You know, we have our own presumptions internally about how he's doing out in the wild, and we kind of want to see how the high-end guys are handling it. You know, I am kind of sad that we didn't get as many teams today. You know, I was hoping that Hype would come out of hiding and play in ESL. You know, they won the last ESL, and they're like, you know, we don't need to play this one. But, you know, I was hoping that they'd play in a couple other teams, you know, maybe even Sith Evolved showing up and playing. And, you know, I'm just curious to see what's going to be happening.
Speaking of one of the Goliath players, I know Deanimate plays a lot of Goliath, and I've seen a lot of solid play from him. Unfortunately, again, we don't have very many of the Goliath players in this tournament, so we may or may not see him pulled out in one of these games. So,
yeah, I can one troll to rule them all. Jesus. Yeah, like I can see what you're saying with the Goliath needing to do the wombo combo and having trouble. I would say it definitely depends on what skill build you're going, because I know going against your Goliath many times internally and having that 3 rock throw instantly hit me when I'm trying to light you on fire as Hyde has caught me off guard many times, and I think there's a lot of hidden surprises that are in this Goliath right now that people just haven't picked up on yet.
And you can definitely still poke people with flame. You can still throw rocks and leap in and all that stuff. That stuff is all still viable. It's just a matter of comboing after that initiation or that poking that I feel like a lot of players are having difficulty with. And I feel like since the burst isn't as high as it used to be, the Goliath player, or the Goliath's weakness, which is hunters kiting around in circles around like certain geometry and stuff, it's always been a huge weakness of Goliath. And I feel like when you had the burst, if you hit him with one ability, that's a huge chance to get a kill. But now getting that one ability isn't enough. You need to be able to follow up after knocking them away from that geometry. And I feel like that's where a lot of Goliath players are having a hard time, is really handling those kiting hunters. And I've heard a lot of the leap smash actually not being very good anymore. But I personally haven't had any problem with it. I don't know for Deanime. I guess since you're in chat, I don't know if you've had problems with it, but for the most part, I feel like it's. For me personally, I love the Leaf Smash where it is right now. The shoulder cooldown and the radius is fine for me. So it's just a matter of following up and consistently hitting your abilities. And Goliath, typically, he's got 2 skill shots.
Yeah.
Leaf Smash is more so a skill shot than it used to be too. And Rock Throw, and I just feel like if you can hit Leaf Smash, if you can jump in, do your overhead, charge, Leaf Smash, Rock Throw, Flame.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a kill for everybody. So,
but just to comment on that, we do have our eyes on the Goliath, and we are playing him, and we're gonna see what's going on there and make sure he's in a good spot, because we do want this patch, especially right before the finals over in Poland. We want to make sure it's the best evolve it can be, right? We don't want to mess anything up there, and we want to make sure it's a good patch to play a tournament on. And we probably will do another balance pass before them. It wouldn't be as big as before. This would be more of what we like to say, the fine noodly stuff, as Brandon would say. But getting some of the is Lightning Strike an issue? Is Aftershock an issue? Stuff like that, and kind of looking at specific characters and deciding what we need to do about them, if we need to do anything about them at all.
Yep. There's definitely a lot of stuff that we can't really tell until it's out in the wild with larger numbers going on too, right? 'Cause especially like how we were talking about earlier, we can't really force players into doing anything, but we can only guide them. And if they're not able to use the tools we gave them, or maybe those tools are too strong, it's stuff that we can only react accordingly to. And there's no way that we can make the perfect wrench or the perfect hammer on our first try. So.
Okay, looks like we are going to throw out the lobby for Source right now. Let us cast every game, please, if possible. So you guys can get as many games of Evolve as we can. We're going to throw out the lobby right now.
Are we hosting?
Yeah, because Gobi Samurai is actually from Japan.
Oh, shit.
So we are actually the midpoint between Source and Gobi Samurai.
That is actually super interesting. Have we seen any Japanese team? Is it like a Japanese team or is it a Japanese player?
This is a Japanese team. Gobi Samurai has been here for quite some time.
That's super cool to see.
Let's see. Let me find Source.
Oh man, too bad Symphony's not able to play right now. Oh, he used to be in Japan.
He used to be in Japan. He's now back in. He's in Florida now, I believe. So, let's see. Leaf Smash 1 and 2 is not as good. Level 3 is not as bad as you get the better radius, but the way he is now doesn't come across what he needed those nerfs. I mean, I wouldn't say it was nerf. It was just more the playing against it was you would have a lot of we got a lot of complaints from all levels of play.
Yep.
Was that the Leaf Smash would be super inconsistent as far as the hitbox goes.
Yep.
And when he did hit it would feel like I was supposed to be out of that, and now I just got hit. Yeah, it didn't make sense.
There was definitely a lot of testing because Leaf Smash was always one of those things that was kind of on our watch list. One thing that we saw was an issue was at even medium to long ranges, hunters were not able to dodge it unless they perfectly dodged it.
Yeah.
You would have to have if you timed your dodge even just a second, like a half a second later, you would get hit. And just taking it down just a tad bit allowed it to be feel a lot better on the hunter's perspective, and still reward those players that were really good at aiming Leaf Smash. And it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of raises the skill ceiling a little bit. So I feel like if you're at a certain part of the ceiling, that leap effect that leap change should not affect you at all. So that being said, I feel like that's another reason why we're not seeing those secondary Goliath players not really picking up Goliath anymore. Because again, I will reiterate that he takes a certain finesse to get down, and you have to really know his combos very effectively, and you have to hit his abilities, because as we've seen with every character, hitting all 4 of your abilities is super important in this game. In its current state, and not necessarily even just your 4 abilities. You can. I'm not saying you have to go 4, but getting those melee combos down alongside your abilities is even stronger now in this meta. And we didn't before. One thing that we always pointed out. I know Nick or Lord Death was always pointing out that he was like, these Goliath players are never meleeing.
Yeah.
That was one thing that he always pointed out. And now it's vital to your ability rotation, I feel. And that was something that we kind of balanced it around, was the fact is the extreme version of Goliath is when you combo those melees in with your abilities. And if you're able to do that as a Goliath player, it was super strong. And then if you just use abilities on Goliath without using melees, we felt that he was a little under.
Yeah, no, Goliath definitely needs that extra bit of damage, that extra bit of consistent damage, because, you know, he's got the Flame Tick to get a lot of damage over time. He's also got 3 pretty good burst abilities that he can use to bring someone down. It's all about that constant fight. That's why he does have a lot of health and armor as well. And, you know, even going to the stage 3, you know, you need to be able to combo those abilities, and you need to be able to combo it in with your auto attacks. You know, it is kind of hard sometimes to stick on people, but it's all about using those traversals properly and making sure that you're closing the gap as best as possible when you're fighting up against a Hunter team.
And that's one thing that we found. I've had this conversation with Ninja Penguins and several other teams that have kind of like talked about Goliath being a little under until I played against them, and we saw a different picture with Goliath. And the thing is we definitely balanced him around his extreme version, which is incorporating melees. And if we didn't balance him around incorporating melees and put too much into his abilities, then the version of where you do incorporate melees would be too strong. And unfortunately, that's kind of like, it's just something we had to deal with, and that's where I believe his current state is where you have to incorporate that style. You're not really forced into a certain style, but it's definitely something you can't neglect. It's kind of like Wraith, where she always incorporates melees into everything, and it's kind of what Goliath is as well now. You can't get away with just leaping in occasionally and doing flame. You can't get doing a leap, throwing a rock, and getting really, really good results. I definitely felt like I could do a lot of versatile builds, especially against Ninja Penguins. When they did the Sunny Slim combo, I definitely felt taking the longer rock and the longer flame was super valuable, because not only does it let me take out the shield drone from far away, but I can poke far away from further away from Slim, and then the fast rock was huge for whenever somebody got jetpacked up in the air, because Goliath, you jetpack way up there, all I got is flame and rock. So having those be the 2 strongest abilities was super valuable. If they tried to dodge me, I had a super fast rock to work with. Do we know what map this is actually?
He'll give me all that later. I'm gonna go here so I can end up muting Source. I'm sorry, Source. I have to mute you. I just don't want to have the players say anything crazy on stream. So yeah, we are getting the picks and bans our way. I'm going to get that in from Nightwing right now. Let us know the maps for Source Arena.
Brandon, figures.
Making
his comments as usual.
It's insane making it for you now. No.
Yeah.
Cliff, actually, you know, I can make fun of you a little bit now that Brandon's here. Cliff actually decided to wake up today at 8:50. Well, 10 minutes before we were going to start.
You know.
And you know, classic guidance, sleeping in. The hermit, not able to wake up
on my weekend. I like my sleep.
On my weekend, you know, we don't have weekends anymore, Cliff.
That's true.
Our weekend is now ESL Sunday forever.
That is our weekend
forever. But yeah, guys, you know, definitely thanks to everyone tuning in, hanging out with us. Hopefully, you're enjoying the different take on an ESL Sunday than what we've seen before. You know, getting to hear from us and, you know, some of the players, and now devs,
devs,
which is such a weird thing to say. You know, to think that we're helping make this game now. I mean, I guess you could say that. Weird. I mean, we're not making it, but we're helping with it. Like, I still don't feel comfortable calling myself a dev, as you talked about before. It's such a weird thing.
We just basically go to the studio and annoy people. That's what our job is.
So yeah, we actually just run around and annoy Brandon all day. Is actually what we do.
It's true. Do you guys think monsters are still dying too fast? I think there's a combination of monsters playing too aggressive still with inside of a dome, and just monsters not positioning themselves for good domes. I think that's still an issue, and until we see monsters adapting, you know, because right now I feel like monsters are more capable than ever too with the 80-meter combat radius to get that burst and get far away, to get in a good position to get favorable dome. I feel personally I'm able to get solid domes for getting the loops that I want in the areas for me to mitigate as much as possible. I always have those in preparation if I need to inside of a dome. But if a hunter does get a really solid dome on me before I even get to consider setting up for like an ideal arena, then it's really rough.
Yeah.
But we also need that for hunters, because if hunters aren't able to get really strong domes off, then we're also going to have those monsters that are just able to mitigate every single dome and do really well. So we still want the possibility of hunters to get strong domes, but we also want to make sure that monsters are able to survive inside of domes. And I feel like that's more about positioning more so than ever.
Apparently we're getting we've never even made coffee, you know, just to take a step back from the serious talk. Brandon insulting us in chat as we're talking about super cool stuff.
Let's be honest
about
though,
positioning in domes.
This is expected from Brandon though.
Yeah, but Brandon has a hard time, you know,
acting like an adult.
Acting like an adult. Oh man. But apparently we're getting a humming noise, and I think it's that fan that's on Cliff.
Is it, or he's just mocking us because we sound like bees in his ear?
Well, you know,
I can't tell which one it is.
No, it's okay.
If you guys legitimately do have buzzing in your ears,
you'll have to live with it.
We're gonna have to live with it.
Yeah, because it gets hotter than hell. It's like 90. It's like 90 degrees in Orange County.
I turned the air conditioning up like super high, or as in super cold.
Super high. Yeah, it's like 90 degrees in here today. Yeah, no. But we are just kind of waiting, like the classic ESL wait. But you know, you were before we got rudely interrupted by Brandon.
I know.
In the
way
Twitch
off
chat.
track now.
But you were talking about the positioning in the domes and thinking more about how you approach a dome as a monster and thinking about the areas that you do get domed. You know, how much do you think that plays a part in a monster's success now compared to what it used to?
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you feel that you pretty much need to always be thinking about where you're getting domed compared to before, where it's just like, we got domed?
Well, definitely more so now since you have less armor. I feel like it's. I've always said this too, where if monsters are able to do a one-step, two-step process of winning, which was our previous meta, I feel like it's completely unfair for the hunters to have to be constantly aware of where they dome to make sure there's no strong loops for the monster. And then the monster could be like, I'm just going to run away, and then if I get domed, whatever. That's not fair. Like, monsters should be thinking on almost equal level of how in-depth the hunters have to think. Because there was a point in time where we played without masteries and perks, and monsters were just completely destroying. It was pretty straightforward strategies to win, and hunters really had to adapt and just go over and beyond and in depth in their strategy. And then we got to the point where they kind of switched sides, and then we turned masteries and perks back on. But hunters still had that adaptation that they took and carried over into this new meta with the masteries and perks. But monsters were just not ready. They weren't prepared to adapt accordingly. And then eventually we got to the one-step, two-step process of getting domed on evolve and just going all in. But now we're kind of going back to a meta of monsters need to be thinking about everything they do preemptively.
Yeah.
And hunters are just still at a point where they have to be way more careful now, but they're still taking that skill and those strategies that they earned and have really just taught themselves over the period of since the game came out. So I think we're at a point too where monsters are just really having to adapt and just do way more.
Yeah, it's more of a thinking game than it was before. Yep. And I think the better decision making monsters compared to the not just the in combat monsters like we saw before, are going to be the ones that end up being successful in this meta. And we do have the players actually loading in. It's going to be Gobi Samurai versus Ninja Penguins, guys.
Do we know what map it is?
I am getting the map picks right now. They haven't given it to me yet, but I'm going to guess Distillery will be one of them because it's Ninja Penguins and they just love Distillery because they love putting Source through pain.
Yes.
Is what they like doing. So I am curious to see if we have got any other bands.
Well, if anything, the pain is shared equally because Refueling Tower is debatably a pretty strong monster map.
Yeah.
So the last series we did see Distillery and Refueling Tower, I believe. but unfortunately, Source has to feel the pain first.
Yeah, no, he's gonna have to fight through the hunters first here.
Yep.
And you know what? I am curious to see what Source will bust out. You know, he did play Behemoth in the last series.
Yep.
We unfortunately didn't get to cast it.
Yep.
But I'm really curious to see if he plays it in this series, especially if he gets a map like Distillery. Even Weather Control would be a super good Behemoth map. I was even afraid of Behemoth on that map before.
Yeah.
So now that he's in a much better spot,
Yep.
looks like we have Distillery Refueling Orbital.
All right.
So
Interesting enough, I don't think we used to see like monster favored maps, right? That was like a thing that we didn't see for a long time in the rotation.
yeah, and then towards the end of everything, we had the monster more favorite maps, map to Distillery, fair weather, balance. Looks like we are good to go. We're gonna be starting the game up right here.
All right. So.
But we were talking about maps beforehand, and
Yep.
you know, there was this trend that used to be in the ESL where beforehand, like, you know, you pretty much had to ban every single like monster map, like Fusion Plant, Orbital, Refueling, and we're always
Nothing
like,
left for the monster.
Yeah, but back then, you know, you kind of needed it, right?
Yep.
Our hunter teams, I would say, weren't that good back then,
Yep.
and there was only a few select teams that were above the rest, right?
Yep.
And then there started to become this trend about, I'd say, around the 8th week of the ESL, where you saw a lot of the monster favored maps starting to come out, and a lot more people thinking about, hey, how can I get my monster player into a favorable situation and give him a chance, right? So we are loading into this game, guys, and I'm curious to see what Source is going to be picking here. He did pick Behemoth last time.
Do you think he picks Behemoth because the combat and the close quarter stuff is just generally stronger for Behemoth than Kraken?
I would say Behemoth is a pretty good choice here. Hold on, what's going on?
Just checking one thing, guys.
Hold on, guys. We're just gonna get this.
All right, so it looks like we're backing out, and we're actually going to be hosting the Hunter Squad this time. Instead of Source's perspective, we're going to be doing Ninja Penguin's Hunter Squad because it looks like.
Hold on.
I want to say that's what's going on.
Yeah, I think we're gonna sort it out. I'm gonna message Source real quick.
But in the meantime, I will pop us back up on screen. If I can remember the hotkeys for us, our faces. Oh, wait. There we go. All right, we're back, guys.
So we're just getting all the... Yes. Because if you guys don't know, Gobi Samurai is actually from Japan.
Yep.
So,
Also, Source is back in again. Are we doing the monster?
yeah, I don't know. I'm just letting them know, like, since they both want us to host, because the monster player did ask for a better host, and from Gobi Samurai.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, we are pretty damn far away from both these people, but we're at least better than one team getting a clear advantage.
Yep.
You know, Source, I do believe, is in Texas. So, Texas to California, not too bad, and California to Japan, it's the best we can do.
Yeah,
So, you know, hopefully it's good for both sides, and, you know, always good to see ESL teams working around hosting issues as much as possible.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we don't always have the opportunity to give people the midpoint host, which I wish is something we could do way more. And that's kind of, you know, another reason why we start casting, right? Hey,
Yay.
we can help.
Unfortunately, we're, you know, hopefully in like 10 years or something, we'll have like one MS cross seas.
Oh, I know, right?
That'd be so good. Because I know personally when I went against Ninja Penguins too, it was like, oh, playing off host is just like, as Monster is rough. Especially as Goliath. You really feel it. So there's definitely, as a spectator, you have to always keep in mind when we do have these teams from completely different areas that there is latency involved.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh, this guy doesn't look that good, he's missing all of his abilities. But who knows? Maybe he is missing his abilities, or the latency is as good as we can get it, but it's not something that's really playable to the point where he can play at his full effectiveness for the monster or even the hunters. Because I know Legendary, known for his legendary domes, if Brandon's still here, he can definitely put in a word for that, where he is he has this tendency of teleporting outside of domes because of the latency issue.
Yeah.
We probably won't see that as nearly as much because of the instant dome, but we definitely left a mark on us, or at least Brandon, the trapper at the time, for that kind of stuff. So latency is always a factor, guys.
But we are loading into the first game now, so we do have the hosting situation. We'll be giving you at least 3 games of Evolve here between Ninja Penguins and Gobi Samurai. So it's going to be a fun series to watch, guys. I am looking forward to this, and I'm excited to see Source on Distillery, and I'm curious what he's going to pick. I did see a Lazarus.
Please
I did see a Lazarus from Gobi Samurai, so they could be busting out some cheese.
Speaking of Lazarus, I personally feel that Behemoth legitimately has the best chance against Lazarus comps.
Yeah.
And that's because of his capability of in-capping players so quickly. He can start that death counter very quickly because even though Lazarus can resurrect the dead, there is a timer on the dead body before it disappears.
And that is a 45-second timer too.
So if you can in-cap a player and then instantly bring them into their death state, that is a huge advantage. Not only that, but you can sit on top of a body, throw up rock wall, and potentially eat the body. But you can also tongue people to the corpse where you're punishing that in-cap player and get 2 birds with 1 stone. If you throw the lava bomb at the corpse, then you can kind of not only deny the Lazarus from resurrecting, but you can bring people to you with very little delay before you can attack again. Because it's not like abduction. If I try abducting somebody to the body, and then you're going to have this period of time where you can't do anything, and that gives Lazarus opportunity. But with tongue, it's like you have like 1 or 2 seconds. The tongue, you grab them, and they start flying towards you, but you're free to do whatever you want. And then the combination of all that just leads up to, I feel like, Behemoth being very strong. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Looks like we are having some internet issues. We're going to try and resolve this right now. Hold on, guys. Shit. Let's get that pause. Let's get this pause.
Looks like we're at 0 KBs a second here.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
No.
No.
Hold on, guys. We're trying to get this internet issue resolved.
And we're hosts, so that's even more of an issue.
No, it'll get a dedicated, since it is on a dedicated host. Yeah, it looks like we actually did get it resolved. That was a close one.
Yeah, that could have been potentially really bad. So we are seeing the Lazarus Cabot combo with Torvald into Crow, so they definitely are more than aware that they were going against a Behemoth again, because a lot of those characters are pretty. They counter the Behemoth pretty hard, but without the shielding, period, they really have to take full effectiveness of that amp, because going into this, Behemoth can take somebody down really quick. All it takes is a tongue grab and a little bit of a follow-up, and then they're down to about 15% health. And if they don't get away within that 15% health, they're done.
Yeah.
So these guys are going to have to be really on top of their game. We're going into this game with Behemoth running damage, Torvald running capacity, Lazarus running reload, and then Crow and Cabot running movement speed. So why do you think the movement speed on Cabot? I'm kind of curious.
I think what they are going with that is they had wanted to they wanted to just give Cabot an ability to keep up and maybe keep that chip damage, and Source doing an interesting thing you can do with Behemoth. If you guys did not know, he is actually not affected by water slows while in the roll, so you can actually get a ton of distance on this map. This looks to be something that Source has practiced and trained on a little bit with those 30-hour-a-day practices that they're able to pull off in the Ninja Penguin house.
And on that note, it's something that I've always loved to do too. I always call Behemoth kind of like a race car, because if you have any map that has a very large outer loop, you can outrun, because Behemoth's actually the fastest out of all monsters in the long run. So if you can really take full effectiveness of that with the big wide loops, like on Wraith Trap, for example, you have that large outer loop that you can work with and just kind of go on the outskirts of the map in a circle. Hunters can try to cut you off, but your max speed is pretty high, and by the time they do get in a position to cut you off, you're almost always out of that cutoff position. So he is about full energy going into this. I'm curious if he's going to try and force the fight into the caves, because if he gets domed here, Behemoth is definitely one of the biggest tilt monsters.
Yeah.
If you get a dome that's not in your favor, Behemoth has a really rough time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about forcing the fight to where you want it, more so than any other monster. So I think he is trying to get the dome here. If the dome does go down, he has a really solid loop to work with, and he's got the interior of this building. They are pinging him. He is working his way towards the caves. Unfortunately, the Trapper is pretty far behind. It doesn't look like they're going to get the dome until he actually goes inside the cave. If I was Source, I'm probably going to make my way up to the cave and force a fight, or eventually just kind of bait them over here and just go for the run and try and get to the opposite end of the map and maybe get an evolve off. So he doesn't actually have enough energy to evolve yet. And
he did just grab it. So I think we're gonna see Source evolve right away, and we are gonna see Torvald make a run for it. He is actually gonna catch him on the evolve, but Source wisely cancels. I think Source right now is gonna, hopefully he can avoid a dome. But let's check out his skill build real quick. He does have 1 in Lava Bomb, 1 in Tongue Grab, and 1 in Fissure. And Cliff, this is actually the build that you prefer as well.
Something to note too is that Behemoth is the Salt Slayer, so this is really tough for
both sides.
For both sides, yeah. So their Salt Player has to be super careful. Interestingly enough, I feel like this team is prepared for this new Behemoth. They weren't playing overly aggressive. They're really taking their time, and they're not rushing it. Super solid dome. They're definitely underestimating this team right off the bat. They forced him into a dome that is super unfavorable. It is Cabot. So if at this point they're breaking through his health super fast, almost in this entire shield bar. He has more shields than any other monster, and it's almost gone. It is gone. They're already in the permanent health damage within the first 15 seconds of the dome. He is trying to distribute the damage, but he doesn't have a focus target. He really needs to get the Trapper down at this point and get out and take what he can get and reset the fight, get that stage 2, and continue. He is trying to focus down the Trapper. One more.
Oh my gosh, those mortars!
He is 3 health bars down already and full shields within like 30 seconds of the dome. This could be a single dome match right here, showing the Cabot doing a super effective job with the amp. He does get the assault down. The assault is in one of the lava pools. He is trying to mitigate. At this point, Source is looking in a really bad spot. Lazarus does get the resurrect. He's only got 2 health bars left. This is a Crow matchup, so even if he does get away, he is probably going to lose that from either poking on the run or within the next fight. But if he does get the stage 2, he will replenish some health, and then this match will continue on.
Man, that Cabot Torvald combo really coming through right there, and we had seen it a couple times. You hit those ant mortars on during any fight, and it's it's rough. And hopefully Source can get out of here. The dome is on half cooldown, and I assume they won't be able to get it, but they are looking to punish him on the evolve, getting some nice chip damage in, and might even get an amp off. And looks like they're amping with the Crow. Oh man, and the mortars do end up missing. But Source in a really, really tough position is going to run through that Mammoth Bird and get zapped.
Birds too. So yeah, this team definitely knew they were going up against the Behemoth. They know that the amp is super strong against Behemoth when he's not in a dome that's in his favor. On top of the Torvald, the Torvald mortars are probably by far the easiest to hit on a Behemoth because he doesn't have the burst siege reversal. All he really has to work with is the rock wall, which actually, interesting enough, is actually pretty strong against Torvald to block against not only the shotgunning mortars, but the mortars that you can hear coming for you from long range to relieve pressure off a teammate that you might be focusing. So that'd be something if Behemoth does become more of a mainstream pick, if we see Rockwall kind of picked up to counter the Torvald. It doesn't look like he has the... Does he have the loop?
I don't think... I think that might be a Hunter loop. I'm going to check in with the Lazarus cam over here. shooting through the dome wall.
Not to go into the dome. The Lazarus, this is what we see a lot, is the Lazarus actually sits outside the dome. And they do that on purpose so that when the Lazarus comes in, it's only when he's needed. And there's not an opportunity for the monster to kind of go in and focus the Lazarus right off the bat. So at this point, he's just trying to waste time with the dome, which he's doing a super effective job of doing, especially since he's got a really nasty loop to work with. I think he might actually manage to pull off a decent mitigation in this dome. But you just got to be careful because if Crow gets vision, he's going to start doing permanent health damage on top of the amps.
Oh man, this
powered.
Oh, the rock wall! No.
So he's got to be careful here because Lazarus is sitting at the edge
Whoa,
of the
look
dome.
at his health.
Oh, wow.
man.
I think he did get hit by a mortar barrage there. This is probably going to be game.
Oh, man.
Even if he does get away, yet again, Crow is in this matchup, so Crow will probably finish this match regardless of how this turns out, unless he goes for the straight-up Stage 3 fight, which is always a potential option. So, looking into this, what would you do as Source, and how would you be feeling as Hunters?
Oh, man, I'd be feeling pretty good. And we just see the Rockwall, little miss there from Source, but the Cabot pressure coming in. And
the
Crow.
Sloth almost finished the match.
Oh, man, the Crow, I think, will be able to get the final
Yeah.
shots onto Source. And the Mortars for good measure, right? You know, always got to be safe. You know, the double tap coming in there. But, wow, you know, Cabot really showing some strength there with Torvald.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the things that we had talked about beforehand when we did go into this balance patch, is that limiting a little bit his burst potential, but even though we had limited it quite a bit,
Yep.
you know, we still saw that Cabot was able to pull through there for Gobi Samurai, and wisely, you know, I'd say they counterpicked that behemoth pretty well. You know,
Yep.
he picked a behemoth on that map, and it seemed Source didn't have a clear game plan. You know, he had the idea of, let's go to the upper caves near the Tyrant, and let's get an evolve off in here, and then go from there. But he wasn't able to get that evolve because the Torvald had been too close, and then just wasn't able to keep going.
Something interesting enough with Behemoth, I believe Source took damage. And I feel like with Behemoth's damage output already, you're doing over. I've actually had this discussion with several people, and I was a big Behemoth player for a while, and I felt like that damage buff was actually, or perk, was almost never worth it, because you're just doing overkill at that point, and his damage output is good, and it's more so about being able to consistently hit those abilities or get away or having some form of damage mitigation, even taking damage reduction I was doing for quite a while. Surprisingly, with the large health pool, damage reduction definitely pays off in the long run. So there's a lot of different things I feel like Source could have done there in terms of just perk picks.
Yeah.
But also I feel like since that team is known as a stage 1 killer, I feel like he could have gone full damage mitigation abilities. Maybe even 2 in Rockwall and 1 in Lava Bomb to kind of force those loops to not be used and kind of reduce the chance of any form of assault pressure. And then if he does get domed, he has the upkeep of Rockwall. Something that also could be considered was cooldown reduction with Rockwall, having that constant Rockwall up to mitigate in the early game. And it also kind of carries into the late game where you can have faster tongue grabs, faster everything. And something I used to do in arenas all the time was take cooldown reduction because of the strength that it brings to your combat, more so than what damage does.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know, with the whole going into the Cabot, I don't think you want to fight early on. I think you want to run away.
Definitely.
And I don't know. Yeah, I just feel his decision right there to run back towards the beach, I think that was ultimately his downfall, right?
Yeah.
If he could have stayed around those caves and really abused the loops and used those new lava bombs to deny some of the engagements that Gobi Samurai would have got on him, you know, I felt like he could have put them in an uncomfortable position. And even fighting in caves against Torvald is a much better decision than fighting out in the open.
100%, yeah.
So
interesting enough, something that gets me even more excited, I was excited about earlier, is that we're seeing different hunter picks again. We have literally seen every single character at this point.
I know. So it's been a fun Sunday so far, and we've only got to cast one series, and it's been the Ninja Penguins, but looks like they are going. Markov, Crow.
And then we're seeing Crow. See, this is... Oh, man. So surprisingly, we haven't seen any Hyde. Hyde used to be the one-all, be-all assault for a while there.
What happened?
Yeah, what happened to Hyde, man? Just neglected.
Just
so lonely.
Thrown to the wayside.
So I'm not sure what monster he's going to pick. I'm going to probably guess Kraken.
Yeah, with the Markov pick, I'm gonna put my money on Kraken here because that is usually the go-to pick if you're a Markov player. You want to counter-pick a Kraken with Markov, so you can't use those Banshees.
Maybe we'll see a Goliath player. I don't know. Nope, and there is the Kraken. Got my hopes up a little bit too high. unfortunately, we don't have very many Goliath players in this tournament. So hopefully in the future we do see some more D-animates or legendaries or whoever, you know, those Goliath players that are well known for how effectively they can pull off Goliath. We didn't see any this time, but we did see every other monster, surprisingly enough, and we're seeing Crow picked up 2 times now. One with a basic or standard composition, and another one with a Lazarus composition. So that is super cool to see. We haven't seen. I feel like we haven't seen Hyde. We haven't seen Parnell. Haven't seen Sunny, Bucket,
and I'm trying to think of one more.
Val.
We're probably not going to see
Maggie,
Val.
and Griffin. All right, so we're not going to see Val probably, but we've seen way more variety, hands down, than we've already seen. So, Markov again trying to deny the Banshee Mine build. They seem to be like doing a lot of pregame discussion going on here. So maybe we might actually be seeing some really good play here. Like from judging by this team's Hunter play, they have really solid dome placement and this overall really strong combat. So I'd like to expect the same from their monster player. I personally have not seen this team play, but what they've done so far has been completely unexpected. So this should be a good game.
And let's see here. We're going to go over the perks selection on everyone. We do see Swiss Roll on the Kraken taking damage increase. We do see Rune from Ninja Penguins taking quick switch on Markov. And Savvy taking reload on the Kyra. Spanners taking Hank and getting the capacity perk as well.
Yep.
And Nightwayne taking reload on Crow.
So yet again, we're seeing different perks on the trappers. Different perks. I mean, Ninja Penguins taking their weapon switch on Markov like usual. But we are seeing the Air Kraken being picked up for the build from the start. So I'm kind of curious if he opts in to kind of finalize that. I personally feel like he could have gone the Ground Kraken, considering that there is no Slim and there is no Jack. So I feel like the counter to this team would actually be that. It doesn't give Crow the opportunity to do
a whole lot.
A whole lot, exactly. So being Air Kraken, Crow can actually get more damage off, take more effectiveness of his stasis, because you want to stay in the air as Air Kraken. And just the general picture of things, I feel like Swiss Roll could have probably been a little bit more counter, or try to have a more of a counter mentality going into this. But who knows? Maybe he can pull off something we don't predict, and it just really works out for him in the end. You really can't predict.
Yeah, I mean, I think it more comes down to what you're comfortable with. Like for me, I always prefer going into that three lightning, 2 vortex, and then Banshee Mine. Just going into that Sky Kraken because that's what my comfort zone is, and that could be the same for Swiss Roll, right?
Exactly.
It always comes down to the player. But we do see him actually being pretty far away from Ninja Penguins, and they should be able to spot him out with this Gobi. We do see them looking around, but actually Swiss Roll, he's making a break for it. I think he's going to make his way out.
Yeah, really clever sneak. Gobi doesn't actually even come close to seeing him. I believe, he triggered birds a while back ago, about 250 meters. So I think he might actually be able to pull off a safe evolve here. So, like, again, something completely unexpected. Monsters are being very adaptive, changing things up, taking advantage of the fact that Ninja Penguins is actually being grouped up all the time now.
Yeah.
And he is taking note of that. So he does get the evolve. He's definitely getting away from this one. The Trapper is actually almost in the back of the line of the Hunters. The Assault's relatively close, but so Swiss Roll's combat is up to par, and he really gets those favorable domes. I think Swiss Roll is looking to be in a very good spot.
And we do see him going with the 3 points in Aftershock at Stage 2. And I've heard from a lot of players this is like the go-to build. This is what a lot of them are liking right now. And we're going to get to see the difference between the CDR that we saw in Bugsy earlier and the damage. See which one ends up being better for the Kraken player here. But we do see him getting full armor on that Stage 2. So he is going to be looking to fight and see where
interesting enough, still sneaking for the most part, trying to reduce as much predictability as possible. So he's got to be careful here. If he does get domed, he wants to have some form of loop to go. He is full shields, almost 3/4 energy. He has full health, but it does look like he did get one crow shot in there, maybe? He does have a chunk of his health missing. Maybe he lost that on the evolve. I'm not sure, from a Reaper, maybe.
Yeah.
But he's got to be careful not to make the same mistake that Source did, where he makes the break for it and gets domed in an area where he simply has no room to mitigate. And that's something that you have to be super aware of. We kind of touched on the subject a little bit. You have to position yourself for those favorable domes if you are going to engage. So it looks like Rune is looking to kind of force the monster out at this point. He does opt to engage and go for an aggressive route. Chocobo throws the dome down. He's going all in at this point. He might get Hank very quickly here. He's doing an extremely good job. It looks like he does lose track of the invis. Kyra's shooting his grenades, though. If he does notice that, he's going to have the chance of actually picking him off. He is doing a really good job of not losing too much health. Ninja Penguin is going to be looking and be in a rough spot the moment this Hank invis runs out. He is DPSing at this point. Hank is giving away his position. There is no form of mitigation. He is going full aggressive. The Hank is going to throw his orbital down. 2 huge cooldowns down on the Hank. If Swiss Roll does choose to go on the Hank, he has a high chance of getting the kill. He does actually switch targets there to the Kyra.
We do see the Kyra taking some damage, but the Hank shield being thrown out there, and he is now at the point where he has no armor, so we look to see him mitigate a little bit more and smartly backing off, right?
Super strong loop.
Yeah, and this is a good loop for him, and right away he should see that the dome is down and escape here. Rune getting some nice chip damage on the run here, and he's not turning his head, and he's actually going to lose a whole health bar for that little skirmish there at the end. But overall, you know, he put some pressure on the Ninja Penguin Hunters, and he was able to almost get it down on Savvy. But luckily the Hank shields were there to save him. And what do you think about taking that engagement there and actually having the loop there at the end?
I think this is, again, something that was completely unexpected. Swiss Roll playing it super smart. He was the assault was actually not doing too much damage to him while he was playing aggressive. So he was able to play aggressive for a pretty decent period of time. Unfortunately, his pathing looks like he's going to be taking a lot of permanent health damage here. He's got to be careful with facing his face towards the...
man.
Oh, no. The reload speed proving its worth. He has a strong loop here. I don't think that was intentional, but who knows? Maybe he was aware of the reload speed, and he looked like he was just kind of... If he's going to get it domed, that he would want it to be here at all places. So he does engage on the assault player, pushing him back. No personal shield yet. They're going to have to really set up corners for the Hunters if they're going to get some really solid damage here.
Yeah, and this is despite having the reload dome, this is one of those locations like, yeah, you do get the dome, but is it in the best situation possible? When you see Rune there, dodging the lightning strike with the aftershock hitting him, but the Kyra grenades coming out. And we do see the Ninja Penguin Hunters starting to box the Kraken in out of this loop and trying to force him out, but the Hank shield and the Kyra grenades both being where they need to be, but an aftershock going to hit on both Kyra and Hank, but the Hank shields actually landing onto Savvy while he dodges the lightning strike there, and a good job resetting that little bit of combat right there, and now the Kraken looking to make his escape.
So, all considering, he only lost about it was about health bar and a half?
Bar and a half of health, so
it's
all in all, not too bad.
There's still a lot of room for opportunity here. Swiss World looking to be in a relatively decent spot still. He's definitely got to look to get away, though. If we've seen anything from the last post-dome fight, he was having a very tough time breaking away. And with reload on Crow, this dome is going to come up very, very quickly. And he's got to be aware of that and start thinking preemptively about where he's going to position himself when this dome comes up and he isn't forced to engage again.
Yeah, no, Ninja Penguin's really showing once they had gained control of the fight in the map, finding the Kraken, they're not letting him go.
Yeah.
They're keeping the pressure constant on him with this Crow and Hank laying in chip damage, and the Markov as well doing a good job at keeping the pressure on. Even without a movement speed perk, Rune doing a good job staying close to the monster and taking those efficient paths like we have always seen out of Rune.
Speaking of efficient paths, it looks like Swiss Roll is doing a very good job taking advantage of the fact that they are following him in a very straight line, taking those outer routes and going for the long-term distance. And it seems to be paying off pretty well. He's starting to get a gap between him and the Hunters, but he is stopping to eat frequently. So he's got to be careful not to let them get too close. And if he does get domed, he needs to get domed in an area with a loop, because at this point he is clearly on the tilt is not in his favor. The dome goes down, but it does miss.
Wow.
So that is huge for Swiss Roll. He's got to be looking for either the stage up or the engage at this point. He doesn't have a very unpredictable engage, so if he does opt to engage here, he's got to be careful because the hunters are ready. It looks like he is going to be going the focus in on the
Savvy actually
so
getting engaged
both
on here.
the heal burst and a lot of the shield capacity is being used up here. He's got to be careful because Crow is using reload, so the dome is going to be coming out very soon. If he does get domed with half health or half shields, he's going to be looking to be in a very bad spot. Swiss Roll making the smart move. The engagement didn't work out in his favor, and he is looking for the stage up at this point. And all those hunters are super grouped yet again, and he baited them towards the beach. If he just books it for the opposite of the map, it looks like he might have the potential for a safe evolve.
Yeah, you know, he's doing a good job here and definitely spreading out Ninja Penguins and making them, or making sure that they don't spread out is what I should say.
Ooh.
You know, doing a really good job and actually starting up on this sneak play. And we are curious if this is going to end up paying off. You know, we do see some Blitz Leopards slowing down Ninja Penguins a bit. Oh man, the Ninja Penguins definitely going in the way of Swiss Roll here, but I think Ninja Penguins is going to start throwing out that Gobi, and once they see that he's not in the caves, they're going to immediately assume that he's going to double back, and we see Nightwing throwing it out, missing it though.
This is fantastic to see. Monster's taking full advantage of the time limit now and realizing that this game isn't so straightforward and cut and dry. Completely, we've seen this from both Source and this monster now, juking, pulling off awesome sneaks, and giving themselves room and taking the time to really get those safe evolves off, and just overall doing really good job taking advantage of the time limit, and just overall the grouping of Ninja Penguins is definitely, Ninja Penguins is getting hit pretty hard by this new strategy that we see, that you know, you can sneak a lot more now because of the grouping, and the reason why they're grouping is because it's much more dangerous to split. So it's really cool to see this stuff. It leaves a lot more opportunity for sneak plays when the hunters can't just spread out and be careless. So he is looking to engage before they get the setup before the relay. They're super grouped. If he does get an aftershock here,
and we do see Spanners actually going down there, actually missing the aftershock, which was a big misplay there. But we do see Savvy getting engaged on here, but the Haste Shield's coming out to mitigate that damage. And we do see him need to pick a target. They are actually grouping out pretty hard, and this Aftershock should do a lot of damage here, but misses on everyone! A colossal misplay from Swiss Roll here on the Kraken. We do see him trying to hit this Lightning Strike. He actually does hit it on Savvy as he dodges back, but the Hank Shield's coming out to protect Savvy and allow him to bring up his health. Rune actually getting so Rune!
They lost all their pressure. Oh, they do get the instant res though.
The instant res does come up, but the Hank Shield is down on that assault, and we do see Savvy.
Oh, nice combo
on here. Oh man.
So it looks like at this point Rune is going to be doing a lot of damage yet again. He doesn't know who to focus. Swiss Roll is in a really rough spot. He's going to be put on tilt quite quickly here. I don't know. He's opting to either run or keep committing to this fight. If I was him, I would probably start running because strike for all the permanent health damage. Oh, Rune is super close to dying. Does he have? He does not have his personal shield. It looks like he might be going for the down. The personal shield does come up though, and it's. Does he prevent it? And he does prevent the resurrect. He's got to start using his aftershock to try and get people surrounding the incap. If he keeps going for the pick damage, the crow is just going to be pounding into his face continuously. So he is doing a good job of doing damage to the two people at the same time, and that's what you need to do. Super close. Medic almost goes down.
Oh man, the heal burst does come out though and saves the day.
Oh, he's about to hit 3 people with this. Dome does come down again. Hank is half health. Both Kyra and Hank are super low. He's got to be careful for the incap. If he lets the incap get up, then it's going to be a really bad spot. He's only got 2 health bars.
The incap gets up!
He does let the incap get up. Super misplay there. Big misplay there. The heal burst does come up. The fight is gradually restarting, and Swiss Roll looks like this game is going to be ending for him.
Wrapped up
Super good game. Unfortunately, a few misplays from Swiss Roll, but a really good job for Ninja Penguins sticking through in the high stress situation and pulling the win on Swiss Roll. Super good game, super good sneaks that we saw. Swiss Roll could have probably ran away, re-engaged with full shields yet again. But who knows? This game could have gone either way. You know, things could have changed. He could have one or two more abilities. One of the hunters could have made a misplay. And it could have been anybody's game at that point. So, props to both teams. Super strong showings from both sides. And if we continue to see games like that from these teams, I'm going to be super excited for this game coming up.
For this series.
Yeah, because honestly, this Japanese team pulling it through. I honestly did not expect this whatsoever.
Yeah, Gobi Samurai is definitely a pretty solid team, and I am excited to see the rest of the series. We're only on our first map guidance.
Oh,
and
man.
We've got more to come. I gotta go run real quick, so...
What is the next map?
Next map will be Refueling Tower.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and switch up the Refueling Tower. I believe we're going to stick to host for this entire series. So I am going to switch it up to Refueling Tower. But super awesome game. Like, I couldn't ask for a better game than that. Like, I was not expecting the sneaks from the monster, taking advantage of the fact that they're grouped up. His combat was seen really solid. It's just unfortunate there was a few overcommits there, and I mentioned how they were taking full advantage of the game time there, but I felt like he had the potential win, but I personally felt like he could have used the extra 8 to 10 minutes that he still had. Even though it is a crow who is going to whittle you down over time, I feel like you still have the potential for another win there instead of just using all of your health for one fight. So hopefully after that last game, crap, I forget the Kraken player's name, but the Japanese team's Swiss.
Yeah.
There we go. So hopefully Swiss takes note of that. He pulled off his early and mid game were really strong.
Yeah.
He didn't manage to pull off any strikes in the mid game, but he managed to pull off three bars missing by stage 3.
Yeah, and that was definitely a good overall play by him.
Yeah.
So I think going into this next game, you know, as Source, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be Refueling Tower, which is going to be one of the, I would say, comfort maps for Source. We did see him earlier. Ninja Penguins actually got the same map rotation. Both games, which is super interesting to see. Is that their map pick and ban phase must be so good that they always get what they want. I don't know if that's the trend, you know, with everyone. So
well, it's because they're trying to please both worlds, right? They're like, yeah, we're gonna ban some of these maps, but you know, we'll do distillery and we'll give you guys some Refueling Tower to help out both each other's monsters. It's kind of like there's a mutual agreement eventually. So interesting enough, I've always kind of said that like Refueling Tower kind of felt like a balanced map in my opinion, and I mean, there's definitely quite a few downsides for the hunters, for like the water, the massive amounts of wildlife, but the monster is able to really break away in this map because of the size and because of the general foliage that you can kind of work with as a monster to kind of pull off some really strong sneaks. Is also something to keep in mind, alongside the fact that one end of the map is a very large increase in elevation, forcing the hunters to use a lot of jetpack to catch up. So there's a lot of stuff that can work in favor of the monster in this map. So hopefully Source is looking to take advantage of that those factors.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what he brings out, what Gobi Samurai does as well. For those of you who are new to the stream, just tuning into this series, they actually did run a Lazarus Cabot Torvald comp in the first game, and completely, I think we can say it decimated that Source
Behemoth.
Behemoth.
Was, for those news guys, he was running Behemoth though, aside from his usual Kraken. So something that was just overall like new for Source, and maybe even the Japanese team.
So, all right, we did get the okay to go from the players, so we are going to be going into this game number 3 on Refueling Tower here.
2-1?
Yeah, it is 1-1.
Oh, 1-1.
1-1.
So
I know there's been so much involved, I'm not losing track of everything. But it is going to be Ninja Penguins Monster Source TV coming up against Gobi Hunters. Or Gobi Samurai's Hunters.
Gobi Hunters.
They should just be Gobi Hunters.
Yeah, there we go.
That'll be their new team name.
So, if anything is telling me how, I mean, based off of the first game with Source and based off of the second game with their monster player, this could be very well our finals essentially. Who knows? I'm not sure how the other brackets are going, but this is like a super strong matchup. I feel like both sides have the equal chance of winning at this point, as long as both sides are learning from their mistakes and really going into these next matches taking note of what happened previously. So I'm not sure what the picks are going to be, but I'm going to assume that Source is going to go with his traditional Kraken on Refueling Tower since it is a big map. They are opting in to go with the same composition. Oh, and we are seeing Goliath from Source. Source being the guy that lets us see all 4 months. And we're seeing Bucket. What the heck is going on? Lazarus, Bucket, Crow, Markov, and we're seeing a Goliath.
What?
This is... I don't even know. I'm like super excited
What?
right now. So we've seen every single monster in this tournament, including Behemoth, and now we're seeing Bucket in the tournament in a serious match between Ninja Penguins and the Gobi Japanese team, which I've never seen this team played, but they just became my favorite. And Source being the man, taking Goliath to solidify all 4 monsters in this tournament. And we're seeing Lazarus picked, and we're seeing Crow consistently picked. The only thing that's a little weird is that we're seeing, I mean, it's not necessarily weird, but we're seeing Markov all the time now, which almost never happened in the previous meta. Markov being ran even against the Goliath.
Yeah. You know, I think with this comp here, it appears they're going with a...
Oh, no, Source! Don't do this to me! Okay, alright.
Bastard.
Man, he almost just ruined all that excitement for nothing. But regardless, I'm still excited no matter what way I look at this because we see that support, aka Bucket.
I just can't believe, like, we saw it yesterday in the majors when Dan and I were casting. We saw Bucket get picked, but honestly, I wasn't expecting him to get used up against a serious monster.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. That's the thing. Last time it was against a Behemoth. All right, whatever. We'll joke around with Bucket for Behemoth, but now we're seeing Goliath, typically seen as a serious pick, played up against Bucket. So if Bucket Laz pulls off this win, I think it's safe to say we'll see more of this composition, more so Bucket. Bucket taking the movement speed, interesting enough. I think we're going to see a lot of the UAV and then using the movement speed to get back in the fight and back in the action.
You know, I find it interesting just to talk a little bit about the movement speed as we go down the list before we go talk about the perks, but I find that on Bucky, you know, you'd much rather have health regen or even the damage increase. I feel like those both benefit Bucket a lot more. You know, maybe that what you said with the movement speed, being able to catch up to the Hunter team is something of value that they want to have.
Yep.
But as we run through the perk selection here, we do have movement speed on Source, on the Goliath, jetpack on Sayachi, who is Markov, and we do have reload speed on Sokka, on the Lazarus, and movement speed, of course, on the Bucket. And then I'm not even going to try that last name, but we've got movement speed again on the Crow. So an interesting choice for everyone, and interesting enough for me is the jetpack.
I almost feel like, I mean, the Bucket might be picked for the sake of fun and just trying out something new, but maybe they're actually taking the Bucket to find the sneaking monster, because this is a really big map, and they do run Crow, and as we saw in the last match, Gobi is definitely, you're more than capable of avoiding Gobi if you time your jukes and you're timing your sneaks. It doesn't look like Source is opting in to sneak at this point. He's doing a lot of aggressive movement. All of the hunters are very grouped up at this point, so it looks like we're going to probably get an evolve from Source in the caves in, I believe, the southeast corner. I'm not entirely sure. So by like the junkyard area that we typically see. So he is going for a double back here, or maybe he is going for an engagement. Who knows? Because they definitely see him. The dome might go down. If he does get domed here, he's going to be in a really rough spot. The dome does not go down. If that dome did go down, he's going to be looking to be a really bad spot. No loops, very narrow, and a Bucket.
And plus, it would have been the middle of the map dome as well. And having Crow stasis to help slow down the monster is another way to keep on him. You know, I would assume that a team, you know, getting a catch like that would, especially in an open area with Bucket. You know, Bucket is right now pretty much a second assault. He's able to deal a lot of damage, and that's kind of his pressure, right? If you're in his zone, his area that he says you will not fight here, it is definitely something you have to consider compared to before, where it was like, oh, Bucket's in the game, ha.
Now it looks like Source is trying to definitely bait out a dome inside of the cave. The cave being pretty favorable for Goliath, considering that he has a lot of close range potential for a lot of damage. So at this point, the hunters are probably looking to force him outside of that that cave area, and the assault, he can do that by getting the armor of the monster down to the point where if the monster does get domed and he has low armor, fighting in the cave will be worth it for the hunters. And Crow even probably could do some permanent health damage if he does show his face. So Source looking to juke
Oh,
out.
man. Oh, no.
crap! That Sloth is doing some serious potential.
And the Tyrant, the wildlife on the planet Shear, showing their strength and giving Source a little bit of an opening here to get away from this team trying to set up a dome on them. So
Yep.
they had already said no to a Stage 1 dome before, so I'm curious to see if they're going to do it again.
If they do see that his armor is halfway, though, they would definitely.
Yeah,
be going
I
for
would
the dome.
definitely dome at Stage 1 if I saw a Goliath with half armor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I am curious to see why the Crow here is not getting that chip damage in with the health. You know, they've done a lot of chasing and having opportunities to where he could get this health damage, and I'm curious
Yep.
to see why he hasn't been taking advantage of that part of his kit.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm super pumped for this engagement, seeing that we do have a bucket in the match. So it looks like we're going in a traditional evolve location. He will have a little bit of area to mitigate if he does get dumped on the evolve. I believe the Crow was about roughly 100 meters out. He's going to have the timer almost down. The Crow has to throw the dome down.
Oh, no!
This is deja vu. This exact same thing happened in our first series. Almost in the exact same location, exact same situation. So at this point, Source is going to be relatively comfortable. The Trapper, I believe, is running movement speed, not reload. So this gives the Source a lot of space to work with. And Source maybe even be looking to engage at this point, because I think the Hunters are spread out quite a bit. So yeah, Source does look like he is kind of doubling back a bit, going back into a corner. I'm not sure what what his mindset is here. Maybe looking to just, yeah, it looks like he's going for the area with a lot of line of sight, and kind of going for the most part, he's going to be going to look at the opposite corner that he was previously going.
Yeah, and definitely using the elevation as Goliath is something that you can take advantage of on this map. You know, getting a lot of extra value out of your leaps than you could before. So we do see Source doing a good job here, getting away, and I also want to talk about his skill build before we have the next dome. We do see him actually going into 3 fire, 1 rock, 1 leap, and 1 charge.
That was definitely a side effect of Bucket if I've ever seen one. So Bucket's got to be really... and Markov.
Yeah.
Bucket and Markov in this with all their deployables. Source definitely looking to take full advantage of the utility he brought from taking 3 points into Flame, which is both length and angle, I believe, or width. So Source is going to be... He's going to take some hurt to his damage output overall, I believe, from that. So the Hunters are still looking to be in a good spot. But again, monsters are looking to counter with their ability specs to have the best chance that they can against certain comps. And I partially agree with the fact that you're taking a lot into Flame, because this is an early game composition. Any Lazarus comp is pretty much an early game composition. So the fact that he is just focusing on staying alive and focusing on getting that potential kill is a key factor here.
You know, what do you think about... At this point, Source is getting really close to a stage 3, and he's taken no health damage at all. Not even a single bit of chip damage from the Crow.
Yeah.
You know, do you think you're going to go straight to stage 3 here and try and risk going into this relay, or are you going to try and have a fight here once you get close to the full-on stage 3?
I think if you can force the dome in a spot that's really favorable for him, I would definitely look for the engage. It's just he's got to be really careful if he does engage that it's not in a place that is going to be Hunter favored or even just compositions favored, which usually with this type of composition, having a very open area with little high ground spikes here and there to put your deployables on top is definitely a favor to this composition. So if they are doming, the dome does go down. Source probably wanted that intended. Doesn't look like he has a loop to work with, but he has a lot of area to mitigate damage. So he's going full on aggression. Lazarus outside the dome, like we typically see in these type of...
Oh, the rock!
Bucket cloaking. He is focusing Bucket down, respecting the potential that Bucket can bring to this composition. Super cool to see. Lazarus looking to come in, but to see that the punish continues. He found a really nice peak to stand on top of to really kind of take advantage of the environment he has.
Source employing a little bit of King Kong gameplay in his Goliath today. When you see him trying to engage out on that Markov and get the next damage threat down. Rock
missing both his rock and his
man.
lead. Crow putting damage in the entire time. The mines are set down, but the death timer has begun. I believe it is 45 seconds. The personal shield goes down. Crow looking almost to be dead here. Lazarus probably is coming in to get the res. Lazarus res is up. Oh man, permanent health damage is starting. At this point, it's all progress for the Hunters. if the Invis is they
Oh,
do
man.
opt in to take the strike on Crow. Smart move in my opinion, but what is that at this point? Is it worth it for the health bar and a half that they gained for that strike?
You know, I think I'd argue against you there, Cliff. I think for the Gobi Samurai Hunters, that was actually a big misplay, right?
Yeah.
They had just got their bucket back up, which when you do get revived back from the dead, you actually don't have your class ability ready, so his support cloak wouldn't be up. And Lazarus was full health there, and his cloak had been out, and also the bucket cloak was gone as well. But I feel like they would have had the opportunity to run away from Source, especially now that he is running reload on that Lazarus. I feel like he would have been able to get the time to evolve there. And now Source took a bar of health and got a strike for it. I would say Source came out super far ahead in that fight and is looking really good going into the stage 3.
Yep.
And we do see him going with that fast rock, going with a 3 in rock, 2 in leap.
Yep.
And having a pretty well balanced build. And what do you think about the skill build going into this relay?
Well, again, as I said earlier, the 3 flame is super strong against those deployables and just generally poking your opponent from far away. And the fact that you can poke people more consistently in a Lazarus comp and doing spread out equal damage is super powerful. And having the rock, fast rock, always is something that never hurts. And then having 2 leap for the faster cooldown and larger radius is also super strong. So going into this relay, I actually think it's a very strong relay for this composition.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got to watch his spread of his turrets, though. This is a 3 flame Goliath. I'm not entirely sure if they realize that, but we also want to take into account that turrets are better off in general than they used to be with their range and their damage and accuracy. So it looks like he is taking advantage of that now. He is spreading them out. Goliath's already engaging before they can properly set up. Markov mines are set down, though. He is engaging on the bucket right away. Oh, he is switching targets, going on the 1 strike. Oh, he is lagging a little bit. I don't know if that's our end or his end.
Some observer
mode.
mode.
The armor is already gone. Bucket turrets proving their worth. He's trying to get the Crow down so he can get out of this dome as fast as possible. And then he does finish the kill. They're breaking in the permanent health damage. Overall, that damage output proved his worth very quickly. He lost all of his armor and a little bit of permanent health damage. Crow's still doing damage from far away. Hunters did a super good job there. If they managed to ever stay alive longer than they did in that dome, then we're going to be seeing more and more permanent health damage coming on Source's end.
Yeah, I mean, Source really has to be mindful of how he's using Flame as well. Like, he kind of did a thing there where he just used Flame all at once in the beginning, and he didn't really use it to clear mines. He actually tanked 2 Markov mines, which is a ton of damage right in the beginning there. So taking that big burst of damage on top of the lightning gun from Markov and the sentry gun from Bucket and the rocket launcher as well, and everyone else, including Lazarus, it was just way too much damage for him to handle. Smartly backing off, but again, he didn't gain anything for that engagement. He only lost. You know, he didn't lose a whole lot. He only lost 2 health bars, so he does have a lot more to work with here. But Source definitely has a long battle ahead of him, and we are looking...
Oof, it looks like some permanent health damage on the way. He got a little bit there, but that's something that Crow is... Oh, more permanent health damage. Something that Crow is very good at is doing the pick damage on the approach or the initiation. And Bucket also doing his rocket barrage with the way faster fire rate and the larger capacity. So it looks like Source is opting to try and blind his sight as much as possible before he initiates. He is going straight in on the Bucket. The Bucket turrets are probably going to be doing damage at any moment now. I'm not sure. Well, there's some...
Oh my gosh!
Super solid play, wasting as much time on Source as possible. Turrets doing their damage. Already half shields, going in on the Trapper again, looking to get out ASAP. Throwing the rock, Ag Bucket, switching focus, and the turrets are still doing a lot of damage. Markov doing the damage as well. On top of that, Bucket turrets got taken down by the turrets running into a mine during mid-leap. They need to spread out the bodies. If they're going to die, they need to be far away from each other so that the Lazarus can do his job properly. He's got to be careful. Lazarus does go in for the res.
He blocks it!
He has his cloak up still. Oh, the flame tick actually takes out Markov. Oh my goodness. Oh no,
he's found the Lazarus.
Big mistake on Sokka's end. Bucket probably going for the res at this point, or not Bucket, Crow going for the res. He does. He gets Crow up. Lazarus is going to be going down.
Lazarus falls though, and I think this might spell doom, and Source should be able to pull out this win with that rock, landing on the Markov and finishing off that Lazarus, not taking any risks at all this game, and he's got one final guy to throw out. And he's like, you know what, I'm killing everybody. And I think he just realized that, hey, Lazarus is finally dead.
Even though Bucket's game didn't win, I would say that the fight overall went pretty well considering all things. Unfortunately, the Hunter team couldn't take advantage of the early game. They didn't really accomplish too much until that end game.
Yeah.
And as a Lazarus composition, that is really detrimental to what your composition brings to the fight. So hopefully in the future we'll be seeing more early game from this composition and just more Bucket in general, because I think that even that fight right there showed the potential of the composition. They shredded his shields every time, and they got into the health damage quite quickly. It's just a matter of staying alive long enough, and I don't think we really saw Bucket cloaking that Crow in that first dome to really mitigate that pressure.
Yeah, I feel like even using the Bucket cloak, like having the reload speed on Bucket is something super valuable to have, and there's a lot of value in some of the other perks for Bucket, you know. I just think that the movement speed is more of a chase perk and not so much an in-combat perk.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there could have been some better perk selection on the side of the Buck, and even taking DR, because he was actually one of the big focus targets. You know, giving the team more time to lay on that damage and get those damage trades in might have been a wiser decision for that Bucket player. So I think at the end of the day, the Bucket choice was actually
I thought it was pretty strong.
It was pretty strong.
I think props to Source too for doing a really good job avoiding the damage, and just overall his map movements were really strong in that game, and they weren't able to get any really solid domes on him, and he maybe unintentionally dodged the dome that we saw in the first series where he evolved and the dome was off by like 5 to 10 meters, and we saw that this game same exact map in our first series. So surprisingly enough, that happened again, and Source took full advantage of that. So
yeah, no, I mean, it seems that Bronco and Mazel are actually taking over every single trapper in this in this ESL today. You know, we had prescribed a cure or some medication for everyone to take for Mazelitis. And it seems that people are not taking their medication. You know, so I don't know what to do about that. But going into this next game, you know, hopefully they can get the domes, you know, not miss the dome, because we have seen Ninja Penguins actually was the ones last series to not land that dome on the monster we're going against. I can't remember the name. It's escaping me right now. But it's actually against Bugsy. So, you know.
And debatably, the larger map too, missing a dome is huge. It hurts you a lot, because in smaller maps, you usually can kind of stay within a medium distance for the most part to do that poke damage. But in big maps, it gives so much space for the monster to get away that simply you can't do that poke damage like you can in other maps. So Source taking full advantage of that. That Bucket, again, I think we saw potential of that Bucket comp, and I'd love to see that more often. It's just, I think that was the ill practice, and just haven't really seen it in competitive play too much. So you can practice this in pubs or against your own monsters as much as possible, but until you see the habits of other monsters against your comp and this various other factors, I think if we see more Bucket comps, we'll see changes that might make it better or maybe even worse. But overall, I think we'll definitely see that comp more. And again, props on Source for his map movements. And taking 3 in Flame proved to be more than worth it.
Adapting to the style that he was facing. And really, that was an awesome game to see. Like, I do think that Source could have lost that game at any point.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that's really what comes down with Lazarus. I think as well, the Markov pick, I did like it as far as the mines, but you know, at that point, maybe it's a little bit too much overkill in your deployables. You know, maybe going someone like Hyde, or maybe even Parnell. Like, you know, you can use those weak points. But I really feel like the Hyde is usually the one I think of when I think of body camping. Even Torvald is super good against Goliath. But from what I understand is that they picked the Markov first, so he wouldn't feel comfortable picking Kraken on refueling
One
tower.
factor there too is like we see the Markov because, you know, we want that strong defensive, like something to always constantly delay the monster from doing a certain decision, and mines definitely help do that, and turrets of course do that as well. One thing that's interesting enough is I think we actually saw Kyra Hank the least amount so far.
So we've only been seeing that from the Ninja
Penguin guys.
They've been really favoring their Kyra Hank today, and we see Crow coming out again, and I'm gonna assume with their picks that this means it's a Kraken coming out. This is the Ninja Penguins. I'm gonna fight against a Kraken build. And Crow really coming into his own this ESL Sunday. We're seeing a lot of Crow, a lot of teams liking what he brings to the table, and it's really awesome to see As
Interesting enough, he had no changes, right?
yeah. I mean,
So-
I do think he actually got a change, and that's the quick dome was actually the
Oh,
biggest
yeah,
change
yeah.
for him, right? Like, that was his one weakness was, his gun's a little inaccurate when you're moving, but if you stand still and you're zooming in, that thing is dead accurate.
Yep.
And as well, like, having these old school domes where you would throw them and then someone would get out because you didn't have a harpoon or anything like
Yep.
that was super frustrating. So now that he has the ability to just throw the dome at any point,
Yep.
and have way more success with domes than before is a big thing to why we see a lot of Crow. And we can go down these perk selections real quick. We do see Swiss taking that DI, again, the damage increase. We do see the quick switch again on Rune on that Markov. And Savvy taking reload, of course, on the Kyra. And Spanners taking capacity on the Hank. And Nightwing taking reload yet again on a Crow.
So no big changes here. I think we did see Abe in the first game of Ninja Penguins, but for the most part, we're still sticking to
In the previous series.
In the previous series,
They'd be
yeah.
running Abe.
So we still see their traditional setup for their perks. We do see damage, which is also the traditional perk for Kraken. We did see cooldown reduction in the first series on the Kraken, so I'm kind of surprised that we did see that. So there is an option, and he did pretty well with it in combat. Like, it definitely proved its worth in combat. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of cooldown reduction on Krakens in the future. So pulling off a sneak right off the bat, coming from Swiss roll, really putting all of his cards into the sneak plays.
Yeah, he's definitely putting all his chips down on the sneak. Doing a sneak like this in the beginning is actually a pretty difficult play to pull off. On this map, I feel against the Crow, you can do it, and this is one of Crow's weaknesses, is he does have a hard time getting lucky finding a sneaky monster, but we do see the pings coming out from Spanners, and actually getting this monster. Now, you gotta think he's wasted so much time, a minute and a half, and he's only a quarter of the way to his evolve, not even halfway yet.
Yeah.
So, we do see him feeding up in the cave on a couple Reavers, but Ninja Penguins is going to start giving that pressure, and if you hit a early dome, and they're gonna know he's not full
especially
energy.
since he doesn't have full shields or full armor. Sorry, I always say shields because I come from Halo. So doesn't have full armor, and he doesn't even have half energy yet, and that's super painful. So that's where you can really see if that early game sneak doesn't pay off. You kind of put yourself in a position of where your stage 1 fight is going to be much longer, or your stage 1 phase, more or less, is going to be a lot longer than it normally is. But overall, I think he's still going to able to get pretty close to his evolve. He only needs a few more meets, and he will have that stage 2 ready.
Yeah.
So kind of curious if they're going to go for the dome here. He does have the cave, and he does have a really strong loop. It looks like Chocobo is kind of opting to stay back and wait for him to commit to one direction or the other. The assault, we're doing a traditional kind of setup here. The
3-1.
The 3-1. The assault kind of flushing him outside the cave. And again, the reason why flushing works so well is if the monster does choose to stay behind this loop or in a cave in this instance, if the assault can get him to be about half shields, it's safe for the hunters or the trapper to dome at that point and break into the health damage. Because eventually, if the monster does choose to stay around that assault, he's going to get really low in armor, and he's going to have to eventually leave. Because if he gets super low in armor and gets domed, that is super bad for the monster. Oh, we do see the permanent health damage coming in from the
Crow.
pokes. So
Crow doing a good job. For those of you who don't know, Crow has the ability to charge up one of his long rifle shots, which will actually pierce through the armor of the monster. And we do see the Crow actually getting in position, getting more of those charge shots in, doing quite a bit of damage so far, and getting some Banshee Mind poke. Swiss saying, hey man, stop that.
there goes the dome.
I'm not digging it. But the dome, as you said, does come down, and we do see a engagement starting here. We do see Swiss trying to mitigate, gonna abuse that loop as much as he can. Because this is actually a really hard spot to see. Plus, there's a lot of foliage over here.
Yep.
So we do see the lightning gun and the laser cutter rolling into that Kraken right now, shredding through that armor, doing the best they can to break through that Kraken, and the Kraken doing the best he can to mitigate here and try and poke down the Ninja Penguin hunters, but he is down to almost 3 bars of armor. As we see here, he's going back to that loop. We do see a Sloth down below him, but Nightwing doing a really good job on this Crow here, doing as much damage as he can, and I would like to see him get on that stasis, because I feel like bringing this Kraken to the ground and just slowing him down
Yep.
should be something they should look into doing.
And it looks like Crow is actually opting in to do the permanent health damage to almost the entire dome, and it seems to be because Swiss Roll is actually doing a really good job mitigating damage, and the area that they're fighting in is overall just a solid area to mitigate. And I think Chocobo realized that right off from the start and figured that if I'm going to get any permanent health damage, this is the only way I'm going to do it. And they did actually get a decent amount of post-dome damage there. It looked like they took out about half a health bar. He doesn't have the energy to evolve, so even if he does get away and gets a really good path going here, it does look like he's going to probably be able to finish this energy bar off with these 2 Striders coming up on him. Swiss Roll is, I believe Chocobo took reload, right?
Yeah, Chocobo did take reload, so he will have the quicker dome time. So even though they got the stage 1 dome, they realize that Swiss used the sneak play. I would say on this map, opening with the sneak is not the best course of action.
Yeah.
Following up with the sneak is usually a good way to do it.
Oof,
But we do see a huge split from Ninja Penguins here, and actually
the
getting
dome
the
does
dome
go
down.
down. I think he's got a god loop
Oh,
for the
man.
monster. He's going to be able to mitigate a ton. He actually has a few corpses to work with to get a little bit more shields. At this point, Ninja Penguins is going to have to split super effectively, but they also have to be very careful on not getting picked off. So they're just not going to break into any permanent health damage. He's going to go back to mitigating. I don't even know if it was worth the engagement there because it gave them some free damage. And he definitely needs to avoid as much as possible. Crow's probably going to be going for the permanent health damage because you can mitigate really well in this area.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, he's only got 2 armor bars left. And again, he's going to be forced to mitigate. Getting domed in an area he wasn't ready to get domed in. Reload on the arena kind of just proving its worth, as I always say. Again, he's doing a good job. We got about probably 15-20 seconds left on the dome. About to break into the armor, into the permanent health at this point. Swiss can get away. Dome does go down. I was way off on my time. It was about 5 seconds more. So he is running, but he is putting his face towards that Hank and that Crow. And that headshot damage is way more than you'd expect it to be most of the time when a Crow shoots you in the face. It is painful.
Yeah, you
It's
feel
a
it.
lot of damage. So Swiss Roll does have enough energy to evolve, and it looks like he's going to be going in our traditional spot that we've seen in both series, which is behind this little rock in the corner. Hopefully Ninja Penguins will hit the dome, because it does look like they will have the dome up on the evolve. But the water and the elevation change is kind of just proving that it's causing a little bit of trouble for the hunters to traverse and slowing them down quite a bit.
And it does look like we are getting the old UI up on the Kraken health bars. We don't know how many health bars he has, but we do see him going into that classic 3 Aftershock build. Seems to be the new meta build, but he needs to get some sort of food before he moves any further.
No dome on the evolve. He needs to be looking to get the distance, not the food. If he gets the food, it's going to slow him down and give him the opportunity for the dome. And the dome does go down. He is going in for the aggressive play. If he hits this ability, 2 more abilities, Hank still has his shield. This is capacity Hank. He needs to realize that and keep focus on Hank or mitigate damage here. He is spreading out the damage. He needs to get a focus target quickly, or else he's going to be taking a lot of health damage. Markov does catch up. The lightning gun damage does begin. He's got spread out damage, but none of these targets are going to go down unless he gets Hank because of the capacity Hank is so strong. He is going in on the Hank. He's forcing an invis possibly. No invis used yet.
Spanners
really
with a
nice
nice
dodges
dodge.
from Spanners. He is playing very aggressive. Swiss Roll seems to be a little bit on tilt here. He's not sure what to do. He needs to mitigate. He's taking a lot of permanent health damage with little to no return.
And we do see the orbital actually coming out, and the down actually ends up having on the Hank. But he's down to 2 health bars. I don't think he's going to be able to pull this out. He is going to try and get the down. But we do see Rune actually losing that personal
He gets
shield.
2 people down.
Oh
He
my
gets
gosh.
both the medic, or he gets both Hank and the DPS down. There's going to be very little to no punish on
man.
these incaps. He's going to get... Hank does go down. Only person up is Assault. Assault's shield will be coming up soon. He can finish the match. He's going to be
Hank
careful.
and Markov are both
Crow
dead.
is a very, very...
Big target right here.
He needs to get the Punisher down. He's
Oh
about
my
to take him
gosh.
out. Kyra probably looking to split off at this point. He needs to be able to, if he finds the footsteps, he will be able to find Dragonfly. He's got more than enough time before this dropship comes down. He needs to stop wasting time. He needs to find this Kyra. If he finds the trail of footprints, he will find Kyra. momentarily, I think this game is going to be over because it does look like he does have the footsteps on the ground. Yeah, he does ignore the food, so he knows his path is very direct, and he knows where the food is. The real food of the game.
The real food.
Oh, and he does appear to have eyes on. So it looks like he's going to take... I honestly, the way that game was looking, I didn't think that was going to happen at all. And he does manage to look like he's going to take this game, unless this Kyra's got some god-tier kiting skills. Savvy is good, but I don't think he is that good. So Kyra looking to go down, probably by a sneak pounce in a few seconds here.
We do see the lightning, and Banshee gonna finish him off here. The lightning hitting, and the vortex gonna come in for the finishing blow.
The Japanese team taking it from Ninja Penguins is one of the most prominent teams in the scene. Honestly,
we're going to tiebreaker.
Based on that match on how that match was going, I wasn't expecting it, but from the previous match, how we saw how Swiss Roll played, he is a good monster. I can tell you that much. His pathing is pretty good. He was having a really rough time that match, but his combat proved to take the game for him. And this is now a 2-2, and we're going to the tiebreaker. So once we get the picks and all that stuff going, we'll let you guys know. And I'm not sure what the tiebreaker map is. I think it's Orbital Drill, debatably one of the most balanced maps for both the Monster and the Hunter side. So super good game going on between these two teams. Yet again, a 2-2 between Ninja Penguins and Gobi Samurai, a Japanese team. Which one of the few, if not the only one that we've seen, taking the game from Ninja Penguins, guys. That you have to... I don't know how many times I'll have to reiterate that, but that is quite a feat.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that that they are playing, because Savvy and them are playing on our host as well, so it is from... They are playing on Europe on a California host, and Japan is also playing on a California host. So the lag kind of playing a little bit on both sides, but still, what a great game that was, and it was nice to see just a crazy cracking game. You know, Source and Swiss both pulling out there on this final map, and we are going to be going into the tiebreaker. So it is 2-2. And for those of you who have never been in a tiebreaker in an ESL before, what that means is now that the higher seeded team, which is Ninja Penguins, will get the decision to either ban, which would mean they either get to ban 2 hunters or 1 monster, or they get to decide which side they're going to choose. What that means for them is, say that you choose to ban, and then I now get the side choice. I choose monster. You can ban one of my monsters, so you know I'm the greatest behemoth player in the world. So you would ban my behemoth, and then I would have 3 monsters to choose from and go from there. So we will see what's going on here. We're just going to be waiting to hear back from the hunters. But what an interesting turn of events this has been on this ESL Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, again, to reiterate, the latency could play a factor in all this, but for the most part, I think this is kind of a surprise for both of us that we're actually seeing a close match with Ninja Penguins. Going in this next match, what do you think the character picks are going to be, or who do you think is going to pick?
Well, if I was Ninja Penguins going into Orbital, especially after that last game, I would feel pretty confident giving it off to Source.
Yeah.
You know, he's been showing, you know, the first game was pretty rough, but I would honestly chalk that up for him to being inexperienced on the Behemoth.
Yeah.
And I do know that Orbital is a map that Source can run Goliath on. He could run Kraken on. You know, even bust out Wraith if he feels comfortable with it. But having 2 solid choices that I know are awesome for Orbital Drill, especially Kraken. Kraken has a lot of potential on this map.
Definitely.
To just do amazing. You know, it's one of his best maps. So I would say that going into this map, we can expect either... You know, I feel like either side can have a strength going into this, and they're going to definitely sit and talk this over, but, you know, the lag is something they have to consider with the hunters, because if it was up to me, you know, back in when I was playing, I would never take a unfavorable host or unfavorable latency conditions, so I would feel confident handing it over to Source, but we will see what they are doing. Looks like they are clearing out of the lobby here, and I'm not sure what's going on.
Swiss is probably going to back out, and Source maybe is going to be a monster. I'm not entirely sure. But Orbital Drill, I would like to see that we kind of see picks based on the map.
Yeah.
I think that would be something cool to see. And so it looks like Source is going to host the game. So maybe we'll see some defensive comps for the relay. Maybe we'll see some compositions that help with the size of the map on the Hunter side. Maybe a Griffin pick. Who knows? This could be anybody's game. Of course, we're going to see either bans on either side, and they're going to have to also pick around that. So,
okay, and we are just waiting to see. It looks like Source, like you said, is going to be going in.
All right, so go ahead and join on Source.
All right. So it looks like they are taking over the host for this final game, and we are going to be going into Source's game. He is out of Texas, so it's not that bad of a change, and he's still going to get the same dedicated server as we would, or pretty close to it. So as far as this next game goes, we are going to have Gobi Samurai versus Source TV of Ninja Penguins.
Yep.
And this will be the tiebreaker match. So whoever wins this ends up going to the ESL finals today in the Go for Evolve. And I'm pretty excited to see what both teams are going to bring out. You know, we've seen a lot of comps from Gobi Samurai running the Laz Cabot in the first game, Laz Cabot Torvald specifically.
Yep.
And then seeing what they're going to go in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are going to be able to ban a monster from Source. So really they could ban his Kraken and pick completely around the Goliath.
Yep.
You know, maybe that bucket Lazarus wasn't what they had wanted.
Yep.
And changing it up for this map, because this map does have another strong relay that they can fight him against. So I am curious to see what they end up banning. If I was them, I can see banning Source's Kraken.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though they lost to that Goliath, I feel that, I don't know, I would just feel a lot better going up against a Goliath than I would Source's Kraken. Something that we know he's definitely at home at. But the same could be with this Goliath. You know, we only got to see so much from him last game, and it was a good showing. So Gobi might be thinking, hey, you know what, we haven't played his Kraken yet, and we feel confident going up against that.
Yeah.
And we've already played the Goliath and lost.
Yep.
So that's two things to consider. You know, maybe it's just the perk choices, maybe it's the comp that they had, maybe let's not run Bucket. You know, maybe those are all questions they start asking.
Please run Bucket. Run
Bucket. Please run Bucket. But that's just some of the questions that they're asking themselves, and why going into a tiebreaker. You know, you see this lapse of time.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
You got to think out every possible avenue that the other team could be running. You got to think about what you're going to be going with as well.
Yeah.
Because it's an important decision, right? If you take one misstep in a tiebreaker, which I've been on that side before, where we should have taken the bans and we shouldn't have taken the side choice.
Yeah.
And you know, looking back, and I was like, damn it, why didn't we do the other
Don't
thing?
remind me, Corey.
Yeah. No, I mean we've all been there with those tiebreaker scenarios, and we all hate it.
Yeah.
So
this should be yet another good game.
I do actually have some information, some news from the field.
Some news from the field,
and it looks like they have banned Kraken.
So
we can talk about that.
More than likely Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
More than likely Goliath. Probably gonna see a Laz comp again.
Yeah, I would expect to see Lazarus. We are waiting in for the fourth Hunter.
Honestly, I feel like they might actually go Laz Bucket again, because I feel like they made some key mistakes in that refueling tower game, and they're probably aware of those mistakes. And if they can fix those mistakes, based on how that stage 3 fight went, I think they might actually feel pretty comfortable going in again. No guarantee, but I feel like that's kind of like where my prediction is right now.
Yeah.
Especially on a map like Orbital Drill, it's really big. They're probably going to run with Crow, because their name has Gobi in it.
They can't go without Crow. It's impossible.
And again, Gobi is really good for finding that monster, but at the same time, the monster does a really clever movement or double back or whatever it may be. Gobi shows Gobi's weakness, and I feel like that's where the UAV can kind of come in and find that sneaking monster really quick.
Yeah.
And then we also see that the turrets have proved their worth very well in that defensive area. And Orbital Drill's relay is actually a really strong defensive position for the Hunters in comparison to a lot of different maps. So knowing that, we might actually see Markov again, but I'm probably going to say it's going to be a Hyde this time, because they're probably going to predict that they're going into
They know that
Goliath.
they're going in Goliath, right? They've already, you know, Hyde does well against all available monsters. You know, Goliath, Behemoth, and Wraith, all favorable matchups for Hyde. So I really can't see a reason to pick the Markov, you know, as before, where they picked it to make sure he went into the Goliath before.
And,
So
and getting that punish as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
Markov is good for like the overall fight, but Hyde really punishes very quickly. He's more about strong offense and not so much a balance like Markov is.
Yeah. So we are going to be loading into Orbital Drill, one of our personal favorites here at the office. You know, this is probably my most played map, your most played map. The amount of hours we probably put into this map now is almost sickening.
Yep.
You know, luckily no one can see on our Steam profiles how much we've been playing.
Yep.
But
I actually think I have 666 hours right
oh
now.
gosh.
No!
Oh no! The number of the beast. But no, just to answer some questions in chat that I am seeing, Jack is actually allowed in the Gopher Evolve, which we've seen him a couple times here today.
Yep.
But in the majors, he's actually banned. You know, he's just kind of out in the wild for the Gopher Evolve series.
And we saw when Jack was picked that the monsters were definitely playing accordingly. They were definitely taking the weakness of
The tracking.
of the repulsing, of the tracking, and they're just enhancing it with their playstyle. So going into this, waiting for players to load. Hopefully, I want to see another bucket. In their first comp, they ran, I believe, Cabot going into this. But if they do... Oh, yeah, we do have somebody left the match. So we're going to have a minor delay here.
Minor delays. You know, no big deal. We can hang out, talk about the game some more. You know, I do feel it's going to be Goliath. You know, I don't know the picks yet. They haven't told us. They always like to leave us a little bit of surprise. But I feel if I'm Source, I'm going to go with Goliath because I saw him play Behemoth, and he just doesn't seem at home at it just yet. You know, the changes did just happen Tuesday, and a lot of these players, you know, they've been playing for thousands of, or over 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
You know, in the case of Source, he's able to play 30 hours a day, and even with that time he has, it's really hard to get this muscle memory and build the mechanics up on a new monster. You know, he's already been playing Goliath before these changes came in. So Goliath is definitely an at-home pick for him. And obviously the Kraken being the other one, but that is now banned out due to the tiebreaker rules. So I think he's going to go Goliath, and then, you know, I'm hoping to see a bucket, but even then we saw the Torvald Cabot still show that it's a power combo. You know, it's one of those super scary combos. And if you land one mortar salvo, you know you're doing a bunch of damage super quick.
Yeah, a ton of damage. So again, like kind of the Behemoth pick, I personally feel like Behemoth is probably one of the most important characters to understand the potential of your damage, the combos that you can do, and the sheer style of positioning. He requires a very unique way of playing with his positioning. You definitely can't play him like any other monster, and you can quickly, your mistakes are greatly enhanced when being Behemoth because you don't have the burst to kind of, you know, make up for it in terms of movement burst.
Yeah, movement burst.
You
definitely have the
damage burst, definitely, but your movements overall have to be very preemptive, and you have to be thinking ahead. So we have Markov picked yet again. I'm going to assume Goliath, more than likely here. So Laz, they're debating on what support they want. We do see the safe pick of Cabot. Unfortunately, we don't see Bucket. But here it is, the Goliath versus Laz, Cabot, Crow, and Markov. So this is almost the exact same matchup besides the Behemoth pick in the first round of the series.
You know, what I find interesting to see is that, you know, we've already seen wait, what's going on, Source? What's going on? Okay. He's probably changing up his perk, deciding against what he had initially grabbed. You know, maybe he's like, you know, I need to change my skin. You know, definitely the skin.
I was gonna mention that maybe he's got to get some better style points going.
Yeah, got to get that voodoo skin going, which was one that we actually gave away to the community. So it's a super awesome skin that everyone has. So that's cool. You know, I'm pretty confident with the squad that Gobi Samurai is busting out. Let's check out the perks right away. Oh man,
I was ahead of you. I
already ahead of the game.
Oh,
so much movement speed. Oh man.
Wow. So we are seeing 4 movement speed perks. It looks like the exact same perks that they had in their first game for the Hunter side. Exact same perk that we saw from Goliath on Source, and Reload yet again on Lazarus, which is super effective, especially since Reload does affect your invis now. Having that upkeep of invis and the heal burst is super strong. We see a 1-1-1 build yet again from Source. No rock. I believe this is the exact same build he went the last game as Goliath. You get a lot of mobility out of
Mobility.
mobility. You get a lot of mobility out of that build in this map, and any form of long distance speed is super valuable because of the size of this map too.
We also do have to consider that he is going to be faster while sneaking.
Yes.
You know, if he's able to get away from this Gobi right here, you know, he does move a lot faster while in the crouched sneaking state. And oh man, we see this Trapper actually split up from the team. Is Source going to be able to sniff him out? If Source is able to sniff him out, he might be able to get it down quick enough and eat him before the Crow is able to. Or
if he realizes this, he could capitalize on this really.
Oh man,
the Gobi is going to be going out down this alley any moment now, and I believe they will see him. Maybe not.
They've lost him.
Oh man, they definitely have lost him.
They've lost him.
Stage 2 is still a little far away from Source, so he still has the potential of spawning birds and giving away his position. He's got to be really careful not to spawn any of the persistent, like the birds on the ground. That's also still a factor here. I know I've done it a few times where I'm sneaking around and like, oh, I didn't spawn any birds, and then I completely forget about the birds on the ground and I run over it and give away my position. So it looks like they are pinging in that area.
And we do see they assume that he's in this area. They might have seen him while he was leaping across, but Source is now at full armor going into this stage up. You know, I assume that he's going to get a little bit more distance. Oh, alerting the birds and evolving on top of birds. It's like, hey guys, I'm ready to fight now. We do see Source getting the evolve. And
I don't think the Trapper's in a position to get this dome off quick enough.
You know,
he might get him right on the edge. If he does get the revelation, he might actually get the distance. He didn't throw the dome. I believe he didn't throw the dome. All right, he did not throw the dome. Wow. So Source does get a safe evolve off. Crow is not in a position to cut him off in the position that he's going, or the path that Source decides to take. He is running movement speed, so some of these areas are actually extremely difficult for the Trapper to dome the monster in this area, and that's because of the very large chunks of geometry that are blocking the area between the Trapper and the monster, leaving it very difficult for the Trapper to cut him off.
We do see another split from Gobi Samurai, and Source hasn't picked up on this yet. You know, they've got a 3-1 split. It's almost looking similar to the early part of the game when he juked back, but he should be spotted out, and he is seen from the Gobi Samurai Hunters. And we do see the Cabot going over there, helping the Lazarus.
He's got to be careful. This is a Cabot comp. He has pretty low shields. The dome is about to go down, I believe. The dome goes down. He has no shields. He has almost... Oh man, this is super bad for him. He has a relatively good place to mitigate damage. He's going really hard on the Trapper. He needs to get this Trapper. Cabot needs to come in and cloak the Trapper if he can keep him alive. The cloak has not gone down. This could cost him the very, very valuable dome. The Trapper, he misses the leap smash. The rock getting blocked by the rock. Cabot has to cloak this Trapper. If he does not cloak him, the kill is only going to come that much sooner. And at this point, he switched the targets. What did he switch? He needs to finish off the Trapper. He absolutely has to. This is not an option. The cloak was up. Okay, so he lost half his health, and this is Lazarus. They only gained from this.
Oh man!
Source losing more than half his health for that dome. That was super detrimental to Source's play.
You know, this is what we had been talking about before with the Cabot Lazarus. This is one of the big strengths that you gain from it, right? You throw a monster, even with the Markov, you know, you're doing a ton of damage. A ton of damage that you have to make decisions super quick. And Source made one indecision there. As soon as the cloak came down on that Crow, he had lost sight of him and transitioned over to the Lazarus. Even before then, he had a clear kill on the Crow and he didn't finish him off.
I think that something that might have happened there that we didn't realize because we weren't spectating it. Maybe they actually went in for the cloaked dome, and that's why they actually managed to take advantage of Source actually playing aggressive there in a spot where he didn't necessarily know where the Trapper was, and he wasn't really careful enough there, especially since he had almost no shields from the start, almost no armor. And I think that might have been the reason why we didn't see a Cabot cloak to mitigate that damage. But maybe we didn't actually see the cloak go off when he was low enough, and that's why Goliath lost track, or Source lost track of that Cabot. We just didn't, or Crow, and we didn't realize it. So we are engaging in this next dome. He catches him right on the edge of the dome. He's going straight to the trapper.
Okay, he needs to get him down right away.
He needs to get him down now. If he does, all right.
There we go.
Strong.
Run, Source, run!
So he did lose almost all of his shields almost instantly there. So this shows you how important in this Lazarus comp as a trapper to really mitigate. Because the moment you can mitigate, even for just even half the dome, you're breaking into permanent health damage, and the monster is gonna go on tilt very quickly. Yet again, something to reiterate, even though he got out of that dome very, very, very quickly, Source is still in a really rough spot. He does not have the energy to evolve. The dome is about halfway off cooldown, and the trappers are right on his back, and he's not able to break away and sneak. At this point, he just needs to get into a position where it's not predictable on his movements. He needs to get that burst, start sneaking, and get away and not get another dome.
Yeah, Source definitely needs to get that distance right now. He does have the movement speed perk, so he is going to be able to get away from these hunters. But we do also see they're staying right on him. They do have that Cabot dust tagging on the Goliath right here, and they are just shooting away at him, constantly chipping. And it looks like they are going to look to get the dome, and they do land the dome here. And the leap smash coming right away on the trapper. He needs to engage straight away on this trapper and finish him off. He does end up landing the charge, and the melee attacks come through, but he falls down into the pit.
The cloak does go up this time. Lazarus sitting on the outside of the dome.
Oh
man, already through all of his shields. Yeah, Source is in a super rough spot. He had his chance of engagement to get that trapper. He lost it. Lazarus is going to come inside the dome and probably try and top people off. The cloak is down on the hunter side for the cooldown, and now he is engaging directly on the trapper. He's got to watch out for those mines. If he gets hit by any of those amped mines, the damage is he's got to be really careful there.
He's got 2 bars of health left. He is running on fumes right here. He's got to be super careful, especially against a Cabot. That burst damage able to come out at any time. And we do see him trying to engage on the assault, but I think this is a big misplay here. He's trying to get the Lazarus down, but I don't think he has the health to do it.
He missed the leap smash. Super important.
Oh man,
jeez, he's looking to be in a rough spot. He still can get away. He needs to get away ASAP right here. He has more than enough potential to win this game. This is a Lazarus game. You can quickly burst people down. Lazarus can only do so much to keep your team in it, and if you can consistently keep that trapper down, you've got to remember that Crow can do permanent health damage in this, but if he gets this stage up, he doesn't even have the energy yet to stage up. Something super important to always. The moment you break away, if you don't have that energy, you're losing time the moment you get to the corner.
He is super close, and he should have it now. Looks like he does have the final stage 3, so he is going to have to go for this evolve here. And this is really going to be the deciding factor for this game. I do believe Source will be able to get away from this stage 3 dome. And, you know, just looking at the position of Gobi Samurai, if he makes the correct choice. You know, if he's able to go out towards the beach, he will be able to get away. But it depends on where he goes here. We do see him finishing out his build.
So 3 flame, 3 rock, and 2 leap. So we're seeing the same build that we saw in the previous game, I believe. So a lot of burst damage, a lot of poke damage. The dome goes down. I believe he has a strong loop to work with, but he has no armor. The Armadon just took out a full health bar almost.
Oh no!
Every health bar counts at this point in the game. Any little percentage of health missing is one little percentage you don't have to work with for your opportunity to win this game. Lots of stuff, a lot of stuff for the hunters to mitigate damage. A lot of damage going down. Lightning gun amps. He's got to look out for those mines. There's perfect placement from those mines to deny that loop up there. Super good placement from the Markov. Cabot playing it super safe, cloaking almost instantly. The moment their eyes connected, he cloaked. He's going on Lazarus. Might even see an early cloak on Laz, but he's only got a 1 health bar. The amp. The lightning damage is going.
The
Armadon the man with the bird does explode the mine!
Oh no!
So super close game towards the end there, but for the most part, super solid play from the Lazarus team, and I think they couldn't have played it better. They hit really good domes. I'm pretty confident they had a cloaked dome there to get that super strong early game dome, and that is Ninja Penguins loses that series to Gobi something.
Gobi Samurai.
Gobi Samurai, the Japanese team, taking down the champs that we usually see. Again, something to reiterate is that we do have latency issues going on, but Source was the host here. So him being the monster and having host, it should have been in his favor. They did ban out the Kraken pick for the tiebreaker, so maybe this was kind of the issue that Source doesn't have too much practice in other monsters because they're just simply not used to having tiebreakers. And honestly, that's my guess, is that going into the tiebreaker, Source isn't well practiced with too many different monsters. I mean, he tried the Behemoth, and the Behemoth game might have actually cost him this series.
Yeah. And really, that was, you know, I don't think to take away from the Gobi Samurai Hunters, but man, they played amazingly.
Oh, yeah,
we've been talking a lot about Ninja Penguins, but the way that the Gobi Samurai Hunters played the Cabot, right? The Cabot was one of their keys to success in this whole series.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people have been sitting here saying, "Oh, Cabot's worthless now."
Yep.
And showing the strength of Cabot against Behemoth and against Goliath with his Lazarus, this interesting gameplay that we've seen before, you know, much with like the Stage 3 players of old, and now seeing it come back. It's like a resurgence of the Stage 3 style that we saw long ago. And it was an amazing series to see. And I'm just impressed at the movements from the Gobi Samurai Hunters, and even some of their perk choices, which to me are a little weird, but, you know, hey man,
it works for them.
If it works for them, it works for them.
Yeah.
So we have got ourselves a pretty awesome finals heading our way. I believe we're gonna hang out here and talk. I'm gonna figure out what's going on with Dan, because I believe that we're just probably gonna send it over to him, and we're just gonna end up watching it. But just to talk a little bit about the day, you know, what we've been seeing, Cliff.
Fantastic matches.
Yeah.
Variety is what I've seen. Different styles of play. We might even see the same picks as usual. I think we see Ninja Penguins doing like the classic, you know, Kyra Hank combo. But we even saw a variety of play from the Gobi side of things for the sneak plays that we saw in Distillery. Got him that safe Stage 3. Unfortunately, he was not able to pull it through in the combat into things. He overextended a few times. But I think he had a really, really strong showing in that match. And he actually managed to pull off the win in the Refueling Tower match to pull it into the tiebreaker. And then the Hunter team really pulling it through on Gobi. Lazarus proving that you can win against even the best players in the scene. And just overall, fantastic performance in both getting those really strong domes. Those domes that they landed were super strong, minimal loops, catching with not full armor, and both instances was them doming in positions Source was just simply not ready to fight back in. And that with the Cabot comp, you can't be caught out like that because the pressure is too much. You cannot mitigate well whatsoever. You have to go in and be caught. You have to be ready for it. If you get caught on tilt, as they say, you're gonna have a really tough time getting that tilt back in your favor.
I mean, that was a great showing from both teams.
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
Source pulling out a game for his Ninja Penguin Hunters and going into that tiebreaker like that might as well have been the finals for me. You know, that was an awesome series to get to watch and to get to commentate and just go over the games. You know, the map movements from both monsters on Refueling Tower was a definite high point for me. You know, both monsters showing how to maneuver around the map and what they can do to make the Hunters feel a little uncomfortable, and even missing a dome on the Evolve from Source on the stage up was a huge thing for him. And so many good plays through that series, and it was an awesome showcase of an Evolve. I'm so happy we got to cast it.
I know,
like,
dude.
It was a lot of fun. You know, we got to even see Bucket get played.
I know.
Bucket almost won.
Bucket had a very high potential of winning that game. It was there was a few mistakes there, but overall a really strong showing from that composition. And I think going into this Gobi team, they deserve some serious respect because I personally, I will admit, I didn't have high expectations because any team that's unknown, I don't really expect to do super well. I'm guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
And they proved me 100% wrong. And they had a really solid ban. I mean, it was pretty much just like, you know, Source plays a lot of Kraken, so we ban out Kraken. And there was a lot of factors going into that has played out really well for Gobi, and they set up a lot of situations for themselves to really, you know, capitalize on everything that Source did. And Source was just, that last game was just, man, he could not get away. He wasn't able to pull off a sneak like I was hoping to see him do. If he because what he needed to do, personally I feel like if he was able to burst away and pull off a strong sneak versus the Gobi team, he could have potentially gotten a safe evolve there. He did get a safe evolve, but they had track of him the entire time.
You know, let's kind of talk through that tiebreaker a little bit more and some of the key points for us that I can even remember. You know, I wish I had a notepad here that I could write down all the stuff in between the games. Maybe that's a future soon TM feature of the Cliff and Corey cast, or or Flick and Ryko.
Flick and Rico. Rico.
From the serial. But yeah, one thing that didn't make sense to me at all was why Source, after getting the free stage up like you had said, didn't armor up and started getting close to the Hunters and played with fire there at the end.
He actually got domed in probably one of the worst places to get domed on Orbital Drill. Like, easily the worst, especially against a competition like that. And huge, I pointed out during the arena, but those mines, the mine placement by Markov around that loop on the higher ground, super strong. Like, he couldn't have placed those any better. And it shows that this team is way more experienced than anybody probably could have guessed. And they've done their research for sure.
Well, they've played in ESLs before, but they you know, they're usually a spotty performance. You know, I haven't seen them ever make it this far.
Yeah.
You know, I usually see them in the first 2 rounds is usually where they'll be. You know, always making it up to the semifinals and never making it into the finals. I do believe, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is actually Gobi Samurai's first finals match that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm super excited to see what they bring. You know, especially seeing how they played that last Cabot so well in that game number 3 there. It was huge in that tiebreaker match. You know, Source, you know, you would think, like, all those heroes are, like, if you would have told me those heroes were going to be a popular
pick, ones that win and all that stuff,
You know, like, it was so confusing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and Cabot, even after receiving his nerfs, still showing that he's a powerhouse.
Yes, definitely.
You know, and that's kind of one of the things that we had talked about was he's still powerful.
Yeah.
You know, and it's definitely the use that the team has to give. And they weren't even, you know, in my mind, they weren't even using the best perks for the situation.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And now that they just showed that the movement speed Cabot worked and keeping this constant pressure, keeping those rails, you know, if you're already on tilt and if you have the railgun, as you know, especially playing against the old Cabot, you hear that railgun going into your head over and over and over again, it's going to start throwing you onto tilt. And it was just awesome to see from Gobi Samurai.
I couldn't have asked for a better series.
Yeah, I know. That was...
I might have gotten up 10 minutes before this tournament, but it was all worth it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It was awesome getting to see those games and getting to see what a new team, you know, we're talking like Gobi Samurai as if they're a new team, but everyone is pretty much a new team this match. You know, everyone's got to start thinking of how to change their game. You know, Ninja Penguins showing this really awesome Crow reload strategy where they'll take the reload speed on the Trapper, which will allow them to get more and more domes and get more and more chip damage at that stage 1. And despite all that, they still fell on that game 2 or round 4, but map 2 for them on a refueling tower, and it was awesome to see. And we did get a question in chat before we keep going here. We're going to be throwing it over to Black Gauges. He is going to be casting the whole finals. We are going to be taking a break, you know, for the day. We just kind of do this up until the finals, and then Dan will always end up getting those final casts. So we want to keep the whole community involved with competitive Evolve. And make sure we get as many games casted, especially now that we've got 2 solid caster duos that we can keep going. And
I think one thing to take away from all this before we leave is variety.
Oh yeah, no, it's been a big day of variety.
Seen, like, the fact that a team composition like that just won the series is something that I look forward to more in the future. And that same team took bucket, like, mad respect. And I think down the line we're gonna see way more pockets. I always bring up pocket strategies all the time. We're seeing way more pocket strategies, things that are just surprise, and stuff that people aren't used to. Ninja Penguin's still running the Kyra Hank combo. Maybe not, you know, maybe it worked for, maybe they can keep strong with it and it works down the line, but maybe we have to see something different for
you know,
at the same time.
I think their old style, you know, the Kyra Hank still is a perfectly fine style. You know, it's just what it ended up being was, honestly, like that game was just rough for both sides, is latency, right? That's always a problem, unfortunately. But we're doing the best we can. We gave a midpoint host, so both sides had to fight through the lag equally. But definitely the EU guys hurting a little bit on that. But both sides, despite all the lag, giving us a great game of Evolve, and I think we all had a good time today.
Definitely.
You know, we're kind of waiting on Dan to give us the okay, because we figured we can keep 100 people entertained. Kind of talk about stuff while we're sitting here waiting, because we did have an awesome day. You know, getting to see the first series between Ninja Penguins and TPA was a great series. You know, it almost came down to a tiebreaker. You know, what's his name? Bugsy.
There we go.
I'm trying to remember all the players. It's hard to get all of them in your head. But Bugsy almost pulling out a win against
Yep.
Ninja Penguins Hunters. It came super close.
Super close.
And, you know, that's been the big thing today is that the games have all been a lot closer than
all
what
close,
I've been used to.
all back and forth for the most part. There was only one game. It was a refueling tower with the bucket game where Goliath kind of got away and got to stage 3 and it was full health and there wasn't too much back and forth. But that was definitely based on some key mistakes made by the Gobi team. But for the most part, every single game has been back and forth, back and forth. There's always something going on, and I hope that this continues, and I hope that we see the variety and we keep seeing these action-packed games.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of Stage 3 fights going on. We've seen that the Cabot Lazarus team is also defying the Stage 3 because that's what they're good at, right? So, like, it's cool that early game team comps are still viable, and that was one thing that people were really afraid of, is that the monsters do more damage overall and the mistakes are way more prominent now. But we saw that this proves otherwise, that these early game compositions are still strong and that we're still seeing that there's still potential to do that type of variety. And who knows, maybe we'll see some Val come out of nowhere, because I've personally seen the potential of early game Val.
Man.
Getting aided and amped and shot in the face by when you get the hit marker on your face, your shields will be gone within seconds. And even though it's a really risky pick, it's a very high pressure team comp. And maybe we'll see that teams that can start practicing those, with the fact that we're seeing that variety is starting to win games now. Maybe we'll see somebody that perfects that comp and just comes out of nowhere of a pocket.
I think there's a lot up in the air right now that a lot of teams are still figuring out, and as we go from week to week, we're going to start seeing more and more of what's going on. But you know, today was just an awesome game, and for all of us, you know, both the series we had were both awesome series to watch. We got to see Behemoth and Kraken and Goliath. We didn't see
Wraith in another series.
Yeah, we had Wraith in the EPEX series. I did see Mazel playing on that. But really, just today has been an awesome game of awesome games of Evolve on the ESL. And everyone that's new here or possibly never even played in one of these, you know, you can go to play.eslgaming/evolve, and you can check out all 3 platforms. You can go on PC, PS4, and Xbox. You know, we will always be casting the PC along with Black Aegis. So if you guys ever want to get casted by us or Dan, you know, or I say Dan, but there's Dan and Stealth Shampoo, Mr. Nicky, who's been an awesome member of our community for a long time.
Yeah, like, huge thanks to the members, especially like Nikki, members of our community that have like been here for a long time, streaming hours upon hours on end, and just been really, really positive overall, and just been huge for the community. And
and not only that, but the viewers as well.
Exactly, and the viewers.
You know, we wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for the people tuning in, enjoying the Evolve content that all of us can provide. You know, and be sure to check out our stream. You know, I do stream occasionally, you know, but once I get my computer back from work, I'll be casting some more, streaming some more from home. And you actually do your own monster streams that you've been actually streaming the last week.
Yeah, I streamed, I think, once this week. Not a ton, but like once in a while. I like playing some Behemoth in pubs and stuff, and I know a lot of people like watching that stuff, so I'll probably eventually get back into doing things a little bit with the streams and kind of on top of doing the casting. No guarantees, but I always enjoy, you know, giving you guys a good show with like Behemoth and whatnot. And he's a blast to play, and there's especially like there's a few over the few weeks or so I've kind of had like rivals that I'll go up against in matchmaking, and it's a blast. So
yeah, no, we're definitely enjoying the Hunt 2.0 over here. Especially you know, I'm waiting to get my placement matches in as a monster. I'm holding back on those. I'm gonna let the dust settle a bit, and then as soon as I feel ready, I'm gonna go in. You know, go 521. I know. You know, it's not an easy task, but I think I'm up to it. I'm up to the challenge.
Whatever you say, Rico.
Whatever you say. But again, guys, thank you all so much. I'm just getting word from Dan on what's going on. But if you guys have any questions about the game, about balance stuff, about the games we got to cast today, you know, we're more than happy to answer them while we're in this little in-between screen. And if you guys have any feedback for us as well, you know, him and I are also on the forums a lot. If you guys have any feedback for us on there, you can message us on our TRS accounts on the forums. You can say, hey, I really like this about your cast. Hey, I didn't like this about your cast. Can you do this better? You know, we're looking to get feedback. We're looking to make this better. And we're looking to push casting and Evolve in a new direction as well, and you know, help out everyone. You know, it's not about ourselves. It's not about anyone in the scene. It's about the whole game. You know, making sure that everyone is taken care of, and we're making a good place for everyone to watch Evolve,
Yep.
to cast Evolve, and just play Evolve and have a good time.
Yep. So again, if you guys have any questions or whatever it may be, even just like generally game related, stream related, whatever it might be, just post on the forums, post in, if we're streaming, post in the chat,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. We're definitely listening. I feel like I repeat myself all the time when I do this, but I just want to reiterate the fact that we definitely listen. Us at TRS, I feel like we're definitely a community-based studio, and we really, really listen, guys. We every single day. If you were to walk in our studio, you would see a forum up or you would see a stream up. Especially when Hunt 2.0 originally came out. I had probably 3 streams up on one monitor, just watching them all and just really paying attention how people's reactions are and what's really just simply going on in the community. So
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the players, right? You know. And as we talked about, even doing some of the balance changes and even with the Hunt 2.0 stuff, at the end of the day, if our players are happy, then we're happy. And we see both sides, you know, people that are really happy with stuff we've done and people that are not. You know, we take all that into consideration. And that applies to everything we do. You know, I was talking about with the casting. You know, if you guys really like what we do, let us know. If you really hate it, tell us why. In a nice way. You know, we want to make this better. We want to make everything just awesome. You know, that's the goal every day that we get on the cast.
Just remember, we basically came from where you guys are. We got hired from the community. We participated in a lot of tournaments. I know he participated in a ton of tournaments, and just overall committing to the community and showing that we really cared for the game. And this carries over 110% of the way into our jobs. Just because we work at TRS, nothing has changed. And we truly do care of what your guys' experiences are and how the community develops. None of that changed. We still 100% care. There's no lack of, we don't just completely oh, that guy's, I don't agree with that. I just look over it and ignore it. That we listen to everything, guys. So.
Well, it looks like Dan is still in the in-between screen, but I think we've kind of talked our heads off here. There's only so much we can yammer on about. But again, I want to say thank you all to everyone who watched today, and also to Black Aegis for sending you guys here. We always appreciate the views and the help and supporting the Go for Evolve series on every ESL Sunday. We also do have the ESL Majors that... just a side note for any teams out there, if you want your games to be casted by us, we will be doing the 8 p.m. Pacific time slot for any of the days. So if you want your game casted and you want to have it shown on our stream, do the 8 p.m. time and contact myself or guidance, and we will set that up. We will come home from work early because we're usually pretty late at work. We like staying a little bit later than usual. But, you know, if you guys want to cast it, just let us know, and we will cast it during the week, and we will work with you guys and try and get as many games casted as well. Also, get in contact with Black Aegis. I will be sending it that way. And, hold on. I'm getting a wait.
Corey, wait.
I'm...
Oh, boy.
What's happening? This better be worth it. I'm on the wrap-up. I better see something good. But as we were saying, you know, if you guys want us to cast
nice
the games...
hair, man.
Oh, God.
Nice.
Jeez.
Alright.
But I think we can close the stream. I'm going to be hosting Black Aegis. I'm also going to be linking his stream in here. If you guys haven't been there already, you should definitely check him out.
And of course, like usual, like and follow as many as the community members as you can, because it supports and raises the community up as a whole. And everything is appreciated. You guys viewing and stuff, awesome. Just keep doing what you guys are doing. Thank you guys all so much. And that's going to be it for today for us. So I'm going to send it over to Dan, and thank you guys so much for watching, and looking forward to see you guys on the next cast. Thanks, guys.